What up, what up, what up? Big fan from England. Big ups, mate. How you guys doing? Plan on a gas reveal. Eve, ever plan on a gas reveal, bro? Like a big fart or something? Finally, I can finally release the big stinky. Will I be your Valentine? Always. Always and forever. You're Valentinian. It's been ever since I caught alive. Good to see you, Batsy. What's up? Hello. Dude, my one video was doing good on Saturn Soul and then it got age restricted. Dude, I am genuinely so fucking sick of YouTube's like age restriction shit, because I feel like it's inconsistent. You know what I mean? Because in this one it was self-harm, right? You know, because it was talks about the one person taking their own life. Well, I forget the exact context or whatever, but it's just like, dude, it's like, that's part of the scary fucking, that's part of like the storytelling, that's part of the fucking reporting of the news, you know? I mean, you don't whenever the news talks about like a killer ending his own life in a shootout, do they demonetize the news network? I don't know. Are you going to do more Terrible Friend episodes? I'm definitely looking into like Friends with Dark Secrets. That was one that I thought was pretty interesting. What's good, broski? How was your day? Today was good, man. It was what was today? It was a back day. Pretty strong back day, biceps, all the good stuff. Continuing to amass mass as much as possible. We're trying to get on a Ronnie Coleman level until we're dead. Hey, Joel, do you think it's a waste of money to pay $200 a month for a gym membership? I mean, that sounds like CrossFit class, you know, but you're in New York City, right? So if you're doing CrossFit classes in New York City, where they're like somebody's coaching you through shit the whole time, or you have like a personal trainer, 200, well, I don't even know, dude. I mean, $200 a month just for like a normal, you go in there and move shit around. That's way too much. I mean, there's so many gym memberships that would be like $200 a year that you could do. I don't even know what kind of club you're at that would be charging you that much. What about military car garage stores? Yeah, I can look into that for sure. And that's the thing, is like, it's a Lifetime gym. What is a Lifetime gym? Lifetime gym. Oh, so it's like it's like a club or something? Looks like it's got tennis courts and swimming pool and a really nice everything else. I mean, I guess if you want to be around some bougie people, probably going to be a bunch of, I mean, yeah, if they were jerking you off at the end of every workout, maybe, but I don't know. It just seems like a lot. But if you enjoy it and you can afford it, you do whatever you want with your money. I don't care. I don't know. Sometimes people pay just to get away from, like, you know, students, or get away from the younger crowd, or get away from the riff-raff. What's up, Nene? I want a lifetime supply of Joel's live streams, bro. We got them coming. Don't you worry. You pay $15 a month for a gym membership. Yeah, I mean, that's usually the competitive rate, but, you know, it is what it is. Did I enjoy the superb owl? Oh my god, you're right, that is what it is. No, the Super Bowl sucked, dude. Did you guys watch it? It was really boring. The offense, like, Drake May was like, he probably had a lot of nerves, you know, being a young, you know, one of the youngest to compete in a Super Bowl or whatever. But it was just really boring. Like, I don't even know. The defenses looked good. Like, the D-line of the Seahawks was insane. Same with the D-backs on both sides of the ball, but it was just kind of like, I didn't see a single headline about the actual game. I mean, there was really nothing interesting about the game itself. It was just like hard-nosed defenses, and then I guess Drake May broke some records in the fourth quarter, throwing for like 295 yards, which is pretty sick. But I mean, when you're playing catch-up, it's just whatever. I talked about the superb Al to my fiance, who's a major football guy. I totally went over his head. He was so confused. Yeah, he's probably not looking for all esoteric meanings in every little detail of life. Me, on the other hand, I'm a schizophrenic guy under a bridge, so you know how it goes. There's a representative at Chewy exactly like Joel. Really? Exactly like me? I don't even know what that means. He must have a cat. Everything is subliminal. Isn't that annoying, though? You know what I'm really curious about? If all of, like, Jeffrey Epstein and his, like, ilk... Okay, put this on the bingo card. We're already talking about Jeffrey Epstein. But if, like, all of those weird elite people and their, like, strange occult practices and the higher echelon of, like, money and wealth and banking and all that kind of stuff, do they genuinely actually believe in the supernatural? Like, when they eat people, does it work? Because I'm about to order myself some jerky if that's what you get. No, I'm just kidding. But you know what I mean? Like, what is it? Just like practices that go back so far and for so long that it's like us going to church where we don't even know what the fuck we're doing, but we're there. Can you imagine that? Like being part of like some weird cabal of Satanists for like thousands of years, but it's in your family, so you're like, all right, I guess I'll do the blood sacrifice and eat a child, whatever. I don't even think this does anything, Mom. Eat the guts, honey. Eat it. Oh, we're not stopping at McDonald's on the way home. It must be working on me in there, the 1%. What about the top 2? What about the 2%? Are we in the 2%? You believe something enough in actions would solidify some of that. I guess so, in the objective sense. Like, we all believe in money, right? We all believe in, the agreed upon current, exchange of energy of commerce and all that. So that's certainly a spell that has been effective. And then on top of that, we all kind of agree on how those sort of same systems rule over us, so as long as everybody kind of loosely agrees, you can believe whatever crazy shit you want. It's gotta be exhausting, though, always just like doing bad stuff all the time. Destroyer Lynn, thank you for the gifter to Brittany Shell. Welcome, Brittany. You now have access to bonus content. Oh, guys, big news. Big news. Have you guys heard of the game Reanimal? February 13th. That's 2 days. Guys, in 2 days, a game called Reanimal, which is from the creators of Little Nightmares 1 and 2. Their team split from Bandai Namco or whatever, and now they're doing their own thing. And Reanimal comes out Friday here in the US as well as everywhere else. And I'm thinking maybe I stream that for Saturday. Would you guys come hang out for a stream? It's supposed to be like 6 hours. And I played through Little Nightmares 3 for the whole thing. Sarah, thank you for the 2. Just seen Yellow Brick Road. Loved it. 9 out of 10. Nice. Thank you, Sarah. Dane will be happy to hear that. Thank you for going. Seriously. Saturday game stream? Let's go. Okay. That's all I had to hear. If only one person is watching, I'll play. It'll be me and my cat. They made a TV show or a movie where the kid was being raised to be sacrificed on his 18th birthday, and it turned out the people who thought were his parents were really cult members. I mean, who knows, man? I mean, it sounds like they're just like breeding kids, taking them away from their mothers. Just all sorts of just terrible, terrible, incomprehensible evil. Who knows, though? Because then but then you go like normie level. Try to go like normie level when it comes to the Epstein files. If you ask ChatGPT, which is going to give you the most normie answer ever, if anybody is actually guilty of what's in the Epstein files, it'll say no, right? It'll say, well, there's no further arrests, there's no convictions. The only people that are actually guilty are Epstein himself for what he was arrested for in 2008, and then Ghislaine Maxwell for her in 2021 for trafficking, which she'll get like 20 years or something, and probably get like probation and fucking, a prison parakeet that sits on her shoulder and sounds just like Jeffrey Epstein. Hey, got a girlfriend again, by the way. It's my ex that I dated in person before, and she was super nice. Don't worry, but she still is. Just left her to go back to my ex that was using me for my streaming stuff. Nice. I fucking Wolf Joel on the top here. You have no idea the anxiety that I got, so I get home and listen to your sensation, your voice. Thank you, lady. Good to see you. I don't know if I can think on that level. Too many years of corrections. Hey, no worries. Life has a way of destroying me after year and year. I'm let down, disappointed, and hurt. My family is gone. I'm only 25, mind you. I just don't even know why I try anymore. Honestly, I want to give up. What are you talking about? The parrot just tells her, I'm gonna come. That's what the parrot says. Oh, fuck. That's Ghislaine Maxwell. Yeah, Ghislaine Maxwell should just take up a new life as like a... Can you imagine her leading an entire ship of like Somali pirates just out on the high seas? You get kidnapped by them and they're like, you will talk to the matriarch. Oh no, not the matriarch. And you're all tied up and you're like, who is it? And she comes up and you hear the bird, I'm gonna come. What the hell? Hello, boys. Welcome aboard, boys and girls. Listening to your stories is the best to make dentures to. To make dentures to? That's cool. You just make those all day on Etsy. So in the movie Dr. Sleep, these demon people kill children, and the more talented they are and beautiful gives them demons longer lifespans, and it's so sad and terrifying. Is that what that's all about? How long do you think the gameplay will take you to stream on Saturday? I think it's probably would be like 7 hours. So I should probably start early, right? Start at like 7 or 8 p.m. or some shit. Welcome aboard, mateys. Ghislaine Maxwell, what are you doing here? Oh, I'm in charge, of course. Didn't you think a woman could be in charge of a pirate boat? Well, no, we didn't think that. We just thought that you were a child trafficking pedophile who should be in jail forever. Oh, bygones be bygones, boys. Has anyone else seen Dr. Sleep? I have seen Dr. Sleep. What's the food topic of the day? Food topic. Maybe the best dessert. I just had some, I went over to my friend's. He made ribs, some delicious mashed potatoes, and broccoli. Amazing gravy. He's a really good cook. And then I brought over some buttercream cake. Buttercream. I mean, parrots can say a lot of stuff. I knew a parrot who could beep like a microwave. Hell yeah, dude. See? It's realistic then. Anyways, guys. It's time to read, isn't it? We got Cabin in the Woods stories. I guess we gotta get locked in, huh? It's spooky time. What's up, Pats Nation? Did you watch the Super Bowl? I know you're a big football guy. I sous vide my ribs. How do you say it? Sous vide. They always fall off the bone. Yeah, these ones were falling right off the bone. It was amazing. I think he slow cooked it all day. My Nespresso machine makes coffee that tastes like plastic. Oh, God. Probably want to trade that boy in. Get yourself a French press or some shit. I have no idea. Oh, man. I've been checking to see if you're online a few times tonight. Oh, thank you, Amber. Good to see you. Yeah, I'm a little late tonight. I don't think I've ever had buttercream cake. It's pretty damn good, especially if you do the double layers, so it almost tastes like stuffed crust cake. Remember that parrot that was the witness in the trial of his own owner's killer? The bird would recite the dialogue from the scene like, "Get over here. No, please don't." Oh, God. It's almost like too weird to be true. User, person, man with the 5 from season 4. From season 4 is coming soon. From. What is from? From. Horror. TV series. Stylized in all capitals, is an American science fiction horror television series created by John Griffin. The first season premiered on February 20th, 2022 on Epix. The series stars Harold Perrineau, Catalina Sandino Moreno, blah, blah, blah. The series has received critical acclaim for its story, directing, and performance of the cast. But what's it about? The series is set in a nightmarish town in the United States that traps those who enter. The unwilling residents strive to remain alive while plagued by terrifying nocturnal creatures from the surrounding forest as they search for secrets hidden within the town and beyond in the hope of finding a way out. The series centers on Boyd Stevens, the self-appointed sheriff and a de facto mayor, and the Matthews family, new arrivals who soon discover that they are trapped along with the other existing residents and must work together to stay alive and find a way to escape. That sounds fun. Do we really need 4 seasons of it, though? No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure it'll be good. Did you see that Overwatch brought a hero, the cat in the jetpack? Yeah, I saw someone who was like, the only way Overwatch can like keep their players interested, and it was like a real life video of a dog driving a tractor, and everybody was saying they need to nerf Tractor Dog because he's OP. But yeah, I saw Overwatch has like 5 new heroes, and I'll be honest, I just don't care anymore. They lost me, and the fact that they're like, we're ditching Overwatch 2 and going back to Overwatch as a name, which just doesn't even make any sense, because the game is still 5v5. 5v5 is what makes the game miserable in the first place, along with some very poor, dev choices, which I'm sure all come from the top down anyways, blah blah blah. I just don't care. I just don't care anymore, and I don't have any time. I just don't have any time to care. There's too many games to capture my attention, and that one has lost me a long time ago. It can burn in hell forever. Fallout 4 is the last time I cared about the game releases. Why would they change the name when they could not change the name? Why would they change the name when they could not change the name instead? Yeah, because they changed it to Overwatch 2 when nothing changed, and then they changed it back to Overwatch. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, people call it Overwatch anyways. They don't say, hey, you getting on Overwatch 2? Like, I don't know, dude. I don't know, and I don't care. They suck. My name's Greg, and after listening to a lot of your stories since the holidays, I figured I'd share one of my own from my time with Colorado parks and wildlife. And this story starts with a type of fish, the Colorado picamino. Make sure I got that right. Hey, Batsy Girl, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships too. The Maple Kind, Crunchy Monkey, Miss January, Lady Loki, and Scapegoat. Welcome, friends. Thank you, Batsy. And Jacob, welcome back for 4 years. So Saturday was my birthday. I turned 36. I had a great birthday, and I feel really good for 36. My brother and I went street racing. I got to enjoy myself. Your brother and you went street racing, huh? Were you drifting around corners like Vin Diesel? Keep it in the family. Family, family, family. Alright, let's see how you say this little silly thing. Maybe the pike minnow? I'm not even sure. Let's ask ChatGPT. Raven G11, welcome back for 32 months. Jacob, today is my birthday, and I just turned 36 too. Happy belated birthday. Dude, you guys should street race. That would be sick. Did I watch the Bad Bunny halftime show? I did, yeah. It was... I guess what was impressive to me most about it was just the fact that they did one continuous choreography of like a show, right? Like, I always find those to be interesting in music videos where they don't do any sort of like cuts or whatever. It's just all done in one take, and I thought they did a good job with that, you know what I mean? Other than that, I just I feel like reggaeton all sounds the fucking same eventually, so it's not like I was like jiving with the music or anything like that. Okay, so pike minnow. Okay, pike like the fish or pike weapon. Okay, pike minnow. Sweet. I just want to make sure. Maybe we can't get the thing wrong in the first paragraph. Did you guys watch Super Bowl? I didn't. Yeah, it was stupid. But as predicted, the Seahawks won because it happened 13 years ago and they are back. And this story starts with a type of fish, the Colorado pike minnow. Overfishing reduced the pike minnow's numbers dramatically over the years, and then when the rivers started getting underpopulated, settlers introduced invasive species to replace them, and they were driven out of their native spawning grounds. Unlike the northern pike minnow, on which they were pretty generous, Unlike the northern pike minnow, on which there are pretty generous bounties, fishermen have to throw the native pike minnows back. If they don't, they face hefty fines or even prison time for repeated offenders. But reinforcing the law out there in the wild is no easy task. I'd say maybe 90% of the hunters and fishermen in the state of Colorado are respectable and responsible sportsmen. But that other 10% were forced to send the Bears went in the Super Bowl, blah. What are you talking about? Every time I hear Bad Bunny, I get a visual image of chibi characters saying Bad Bunny in a normal voice. Bad Bunny? I have generally thought Bad Bunny was that, like, one chick who, like, how about that girl for, like, a long time. I don't know, like, it really frustrates me how, like, a series of appropriate marketing decisions and advertising can kind of just, like, skyrocket a person to, you know, worldwide fame. Like, doesn't it ever, like, feel really weird to, like, especially as you get older, I guess you'll feel this, but, you know, you're used to celebrities when you're a kid. You're used to celebrities when you're a teenager. You're used to celebrities in some respect. Like, it starts to, like, the veil starts to fall when you get into your 20s, I think. And then you just start to think it's strange. Like, it's just, like, strange how celebrityism kind of, like, just pops off out of nowhere. And you don't even know who these people are, but they have millions of listeners and fans. And now they're in the Super Bowl, and it's just like, I mean, granted, you know, if you're outside of that circle, that's just what you are. But, like, doesn't it feel weird to be one of those people who just, like, become a massive fan of someone, even though they're just kind of like shit out of a factory in, like, a weird way? Doesn't it kind of, like, feel like a strange thing where you just, like, see something and you just start clapping? You don't really even know why you're clapping. Anyways. But that other 10% mean... What was I saying? But that other 10% mean we're... Okay. Taylor Swift would have been better halftime show. I mean, I'm surprised they didn't do it, but I guess... Yeah. Joel, who were those background people? I assume they were actors or dancers? What do you mean? At a Bad Bunny yeah, I mean, backup dancers, right? I mean, you've seen those, right? I did see that the Blades of Grass apparently were, like, people wearing costumes so they could, like, quickly traverse... Oh, the grass people, yeah. Just hiding. You know, maybe the background people were football players. That's actually when the football players take off their uniforms, they're hot, big-bootied Latinas. And remember, when you're finishing that last rep, push hard for Joel. Yeah, guys, every time you work out, when you're at your most failure, think of me, please, and push through. Joel, if one was to start a narration channel, what equipment would you suggest to start? Oh... man, I don't even know if I can even suggest starting a narration channel in this day and age. Like, if it's gonna, I mean, even like, I saw some smaller narration channels were getting like flagged by YouTube's automated system of like AI. Like, this one channel was at least getting a few thousand views on their videos. I forget what he was named, but I think he was sort of friends with Booze and Booze, and like his channel was getting flagged for being AI or something, and it just seems like such a fucking headache to deal with. Dude, I did think of your 1.5 pound gain to motivate me. Dude, I don't know, that was really weird, because I really have not been looking at my protein or diet at all. I just go to the gym and do the bodybuilding stuff 4 days a week. So like, to jump up 1.6 pounds of actual muscle, I was just like, what the fuck? Because like, I don't know. It actually felt like a legitimate like recomposition in some ways, because the weight hasn't really changed overall. Faith Mailhoff, welcome to the Buttersock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. Why would Taylor Swift do the Super Bowl if it was just all about herself? What would the American public relate to? I mean, no one gives a shit. Like, as much as, like, that's the weirdest thing about the halftime show with like any of those things, is that like, I get it, the Super Bowl is attempting to relate to the largest base of the population so they can advertise to them and all that kind of stuff. But like, I think the one thing people forget about is that there are millions of people who watch these teams because they genuinely enjoy the sport of football. So then whenever like the pop culture Illuminati shit finds its way into like the halftime show or into the middle of like your enjoyment of the game that, you know, that it's all based on, it's just like, I can't even be bothered with it, you know. It's just like such nonsense. And the fact that the only way they can advertise anything anymore, think about this. It all started well before this, but more so during the Trump era, where the only way they can advertise anymore or like sell something is they have to create some degree of contention about it, where if you're on this side you're evil, if on you're that side you're somehow good, but it's always subjective to the person it's experiencing it. So like this like strange abstract push to like act like the Bad Bunny Super Bowl show is somehow like a contentious situation. It's just not. Like, it's not that interesting. It is not that deep. It is not that exciting. It is generally just, yeah, it's just trying to push the most nonsensical tribalism that nobody fucking gives a shit. I know, the Budweiser frogs. Society peaked at the Budweiser frogs. Would you not rather have 100% of an audience than like 50% of it, you know? Just sell me some frogs that drink motherfucking beer. Post-Occupy, divide and conquer. That's a good point too, yeah. When everybody was going after the banks, they figured out a way to like completely divide the more left-leaning folks and, well, obviously the right-leaning folks as well, into just these separate camps where they can't ever actually like mobilize towards any actual meaningful change or even bring any attention to anything. It's kind of brilliant in many ways. Anyways, I just fucking hate it. I hate how that like it trickles down into like the consumer culture as well. I mean, obviously it would, but it's just annoying. There's like no way to escape it. What's up, Taryn? The Clydesdales. Oh, that was my favorite commercial during the Super Bowl, was where that, you know, there was like a horse and it like had an eagle, and then the eagle raised, and it was like, it was horse and bird. Hey guys, it's horse and bird. And then I was just like, you gotta drink beer after seeing horse and bird. If you see horse and bird, you gotta drink beer. And then they went back to the live coverage of the game, and then guess who came out of the tunnel? It was horse and bird. It was a Clydesdale horse with a fucking eagle on its back, and there was nothing priming my body to drink alcohol more than that. And that's all I wanted in life. But that other 10% mean we're forced to send officers into state parks and sometimes up into the mountains to ensure they're following the rules. And in the late summer of 1993, that's exactly what I was tasked to do among the lakes and rivers of the Wiminoche. Do Americans think people from all over the world watch Super Bowl? I don't think so. I don't think that's what goes through our head at all. I don't think we really think about the other parts of the world all that much. As much as they think about us every fucking day of their lives. Americans are always doing. America. Shut up. Who cares about us? Who cares about you? Who cares about us? How the fuck do I say this stupid place? Reporting for duty, sir. Hello, Justin. You're tardy. You're Mick tardy. 30 minutes. Did I watch Bad Bunny's performance? What a performance it was. How come he didn't have a bunch of fat chicks out there dancing behind him? What the hell was that about? I was forced to stare at a bunch of amazingly juicy Latino butts. What the hell was that? I had, like, how, like, you're at a Super Bowl party and you have a boner the whole time. Like, what do you, this is bullshit. Weminucci. Okay, that's how you say it. Weminucci. And in the late summer of 1993, that's exactly what I was tasked to do among the lakes and rivers of the Weminucci Wilderness area. At almost 800 square miles, the Weminucci is the largest wilderness area in the state of Colorado. We got the San Juan and Rio Grande rivers, both flowing through the area, which in turn feed the Rio Blanco, Navajo, and Piedra rivers. And then when it comes to lakes, Weminucci's got 11 of them, all spaced around within the 780 square miles. I guess now you understand what a task we're faced with in terms of monitoring such a vast area. And when you head out into the Weminucci, you really are heading out in the middle of the Weminucci. Am I saying that place right? Weminucci? I might have to go back. This is a great intro.
Hi, I'm Greg, and welcome to America's Last Great Places.
It's Greg, baby. What up, Greg?
Today, we're out exploring the Weminucci Wilderness.
Weminucci. Okay, sweet. We got it. Ladies and gentlemen, we got it. I clicked on the wrong thing there. Thank you for helping me fall asleep every night. Love hearing you. And then it's now past midnight, so thanks for the great start to my birthday. Hey, happy birthday, Han. No worries. Okay. Weminucci's... Oh, yeah. And when you head out into the Weminucci, you really are heading out into the middle of goddamn nowhere. The same could be said for the task that I was given back in the summer of 1993. I was asked to survey the... Haven't been to Texas, just passing through on a plane. I was asked to survey the area around a body of water called Granite Lake, which was home to about a dozen different rivers, lakes, and streams. Naturally, it's popular with fishermen, but it's also pretty far from any road, and a lot of it's on the northern slopes of Granite Peak. And that makes it just about as hidden away as it's possible to get out there, meaning if anyone was looking to do a little illegal pike minnow. I'm running out of breath. That makes it just about hidden away as it's possible to get out there, meaning if anyone was looking to do a little illegal pike minnow fishing, it'd most likely be there. On top of that, dude, I need to warm the fuck up. On top of that, there was an old ranger cabin out there on Granite Peak's southern slope, one that had been serviced as recently as 18 months prior. That meant that it'd take some cleaning up, but it'd be livable for at least a day or two while I did my survey. I remember making my way there in mid-July, and I had to be on the trail by 50:30 in the morning. Who the fuck would say 50-30? I could see 50-30. Is that what they say? Do you do trills? Filthy 30. Well, it means 5:30, but like, is there some sort of military speak where you say 50-30? $55. Whatever. I remember making my way out there in mid-July, but I had to be on the trail by 50-30 in the morning. Is that right? Is that an actual... Wouldn't it be 05:30 or something like that? Or do they just say... Why would they say 50-30? No, 50-30 is not a valid military term. In 24-hour time, military time, hours go by 0. So 50-30 or 50-30 doesn't exist because there is no 50th hour. Well, I'm just confused because they like spelled it out, literally spelled out 50-30. So, I mean, I just assumed that if they were spelling it out, it meant maybe it's a joke. I mean, maybe. Yeah, maybe. The U.S. is the only place that's called military time. Well, right. Right, USA. I remember making my way out there in mid-July, and I had to be on the trail by 05:30 in the morning just to make it out there by noon. The cabin wasn't as bad as I pictured, and then once I got done settled in, I decided to make my way down to Granite Peak towards the lake of the same name. God damn it. The cabin wasn't... Dude, I don't... The cabin wasn't as bad as I pictured, and then once I got done getting settled in, I decided to make my way down Granite Peak towards the lake of the same name. The woods were nice and quiet, and the shores of Granite Lake were very derelict too. I could see the place from up on high, how quiet and tranquil it looked, so instead of heading all the way out... Why is it not flowing? Like, I'm just so bad at reading anymore. I just, like, cannot, for the life of my God, find a fucking flow with people's writing anymore. I don't know why. I just can't find it. I used to find it. I just can't find it anymore. The woods were nice and quiet, and the shores of Granite Lake were derelict too. I could see the place from up on high, how quiet and tranquil it looked. So instead of heading all the way down there, I split off northwest to check out the Los Pinos River. I'd been walking along the bank for maybe 20 minutes or so when I saw my first fisherman standing off in the distance. He looked calm and peaceful, just sitting there on his little camping stool, watching the water with his rod in his hand. I didn't want to call out from too far off because that'd be loud enough to frighten any animals, including his fish, and so I waited until I was a little closer before saying nothing more than, "Afternoon, sir." Now, I wasn't expecting the friendliest reaction. Fishermen are generally pretty wary whenever they're approached by strangers, but this guy just about jumped out of his skin. For a moment, it looked like he was going for a gun or something, but when he saw me, he sighed with relief so hard that he almost looked like a balloon deflating. I told him I was sorry for spooking him like I did, and then introduced myself as a wildlife officer and told him what my business was. Now, the whole time he's looking at me with this sort of expression that was half confused and half nervous. And then when I asked him if he'd caught any pike minnows, is this how you say this stupid word, pike minnows? Hey Geezy, good to see you. Thank you. Take 2 weeks off and quit. I got an idea. Here's how you do it. Take 2 weeks off and then quit. Dude, I've been listening for 6 years. It doesn't even feel like it's going to be hard to sleep in prison without this. Really? Why do you have to go to prison? What happened? I got you on the Epstein list. Do I wear glasses? No. I used to wear like orange lights till I found that there's an app on computer that you can make everything orange and not hurt your eyes as much. Oh, you got new glasses. Nice. How's school going? Hey, Action Games. What's up, bro? I'm a literal spaceship. What country am I in? I'm in the United States of America. Am I God? Like a lowercase God? I could be if you wanted me to be. Really, worship is subjective, I suppose. Are you listening in the PA Navy? I am, yeah. We will be having the battle on the waters of Lake Erie against the Ohio Scourge. Dude, you know what's kind of strange? Is I saw those videos, like there's been these funny memes going around where it's like North Dakota has invaded South Dakota, you know, as sort of implying that there's like wars going on between individual states, but then it will show like something really ridiculous, like the Viet Cong footage or something like that, or footage from World War II on like ships and stuff. And obviously it's funny because it's Lake Erie, which like clearly wouldn't have like any sort of Navy barrage or whatever the fuck. Anyways, but it's strange because my stupid, you know, conspiracy brain is constantly just like wondering if like sometimes memes go like viral because it's like trying to like mentally prepare people subconsciously for stuff in the same way we talked about subliminal stuff earlier. I'm like, are they just like subconsciously preparing us for civil war so that whenever it does occur, it's just like we laugh at it, you know what I mean? We're like, oh ho ho, Pennsylvania's gonna take Ohio, hoobity hee hee hee. Is there any way you consider making teaches you know how to be human members only video public? It means so much to me and I want to share it with more people, please. I don't know. I guess I could email it or something like that. If you want to email me, and maybe I would still have the audio or something like that. A psyop that's intended for desensitizing the narrative. Yeah, I don't know. It's just... It would be I mean, because if you sit there and think about it, like if, you know, we actually had any sort of like interstate disputes, it seems funny right now because it's so ridiculous. But then if it actually did, I'm just probably overthinking it. Your storytelling has been one of the highlights of my day since discovering your channel. Thank you so much for what you do. Thank you, Toonie. Good to see you. Very kind. Okay. And then when I asked him if he'd caught any pike minnows recently, he completely ignored my question and only asked if they knew I was there. I assumed that he meant my superiors in the CPW, so I told him sure they did, that I didn't go anywhere without their say-so. And then once again I asked if he'd caught any pike minnows recently. Now that time, not only did the guy look at me like I was speaking another language, but he started looking around as if he was expecting me to have company. And that's the point that I started to get suspicious. Because not only was this guy completely ducking my questions, but he seemed worried that he was about to be arrested or something. And I told him he wasn't in any trouble, that the first-timers always get away with a warning not to do it again, but he didn't even seem to be listening at that point. When he tuned back in, he told me they wouldn't like me being out there, not without permission. Now I was halfway to telling him that I already had permission when I realized that's not what he was asking. I asked him who he meant when he said they, and after taking another look around us, he told me with just the slightest hint of a grin that they don't like you saying their name. And the response gave me pause, obviously. Not so much because of what he said, but the wry smirk on his face as he said it. I'd had fishermen and hunters try to intimidate me off their patches before, so it wasn't like I was unaccustomed to it. I just never had anyone do it with such a Twilight Zone type effect kind of line. That sounded weird. I think soon we'll wear shoes on our head and hamburgers will eat people. I would not be surprised, honestly. Joel is going to fight the great Pensic War this summer in Slippery Rock, exactly. we will have another big battle down in Gettysburg. A bald eagle literally flew into a power line today and knocked out the power everywhere, and it just felt so symbolic and ominous. Man, Justin, you think too much, man. You need to relax a little bit. Bald eagle? Why's the eagle gotta be bald? I just never had anyone do it with such a Twilight Zone kind of line like that. Now I decided a little... I decided to humor him a little and asked why they wouldn't like me being in the area. And he gave me some scatterbrained speech about how it was their land and I needed to seek permission to be there. And then when I asked how I might go about doing that, he told me to leave something outside the cabin at night. If they took it, that was their permission. If not, then I was to leave immediately. And with just a hint... Oh, you know what it is? I haven't fucking spaced out the words to format them to the 1.5 spacing. When they're all scrunched together, it's like way harder to do it. What's my favorite food? Fucking lasagna. Like Garfield, man. Hey Eugenia, what's up, dude? How you doing? Yo, how do you not die at public speaking? You just gotta do it a million times until you're desensitized to it, in the same way that, like, if you wanted to get used to swimming with sharks, you just gotta, like, swim with the sharks, you know what I'm saying? Or if you ever go to the high dive at a pool, you know, the first time you jump off isn't gonna feel great. And then, but practice, you know, basically practicing things 100 times is the one thing that turns your brain off, in the same way that, like, everybody who trains for emergency situations or combat or whatever it is, like, you just remember your training and you will get through this. Look it up, Joel. We will send you a fancy email with details. SCA combat is good for you. What are you talking about? We're actually fighting Ohio to the death? Then when I asked him if he'd caught any pike minnows recently, he completely ignored my question and only asked if... Wait, where was I? I fucking... expected me to have company... Oh yeah, I did the double spacing. When he turned back, he told me that they wouldn't like me being out there without permission. They don't like saying their name. Decided to humor a little bit. Just a hinted message received. I mean, he didn't spook me a little near without doing my job, so that's how I treated it. I thanked him for it. Okay. Then, when I asked how I might go about doing that, he told me to leave something outside the cabin at night. If they took it, that was their permission. If not, then I was to leave immediately. With just a hint of sarcasm, I told the guy, message received, but that the next time a wildlife officer was up there and found him fishing for pike minnow, he couldn't say I didn't warn him. I mean, I really did think that he was going to... Dude, God damn it. I don't know what's going on. This is weird. I'm not even zoomed the fuck in. Am I zoomed in? What the fuck? Holy shit. Wait, what am I doing? I have to zoom out. Dude, my eyes are... Hello, Brazil. It took me a second to realize... Ugh. I'm gonna have a seizure, dude. I need to find my mojo. It's genuinely like... It's dripping out the bottom of my diaper right now. Okay, we're just... I don't know. This is weird. With just a hint of sarcasm, I told the guy, message received, but that the next time a wildlife officer was up there and found him fishing for pike minnow, he couldn't say I didn't warn him. I mean, I really did think he was just trying to spook me into leaving the area without doing my job. and so that's exactly how I treated it. I thanked him for his time, again with a hint of sarcasm, and then carried on walking along the riverbank. But as I did, he called out to me, and when I turned, he told me in so many words, "Best advice I can give you is to leave a little food behind, maybe some money too, and hope they see it fit to let you walk out of here." I just rolled my eyes, told him they better, unless they wanted the FBI roaming around in force, and then kept going on my way. Now, I was back at the cabin by sundown, having spotted not a single other fisherman anywhere on the rivers or lakes. And after lighting a campfire, I started on prepping a little camp food in the form of some boil-in-the-bag Mexican chicken and rice. But as I was eating, I noticed something on the ground. I've been walking all over the area outside the camp, so my boot prints were everywhere in the dirt. But in between two tracks of my own creation, there was a footprint that I didn't recognize. First off, it wasn't shaped like a boot print. It was slightly narrower and longer, so more like a shoe of some kind. But unlike my own tracks, which left a clear impression of my boot's treads in the dirt, the print I didn't recognize had a very unusual but strangely familiar sort of tread pattern. It took me a second to realize why it was so familiar, but then it clicked. It was the tread of a tire from a car or a truck. And after shining my flashlight on it, I could clearly see the two parallel vertical lines, and then the smaller horizontal ones which gave it that sort of ribbed pattern. The tracks were fresh too, at least made that day fresh, which meant that whoever had been walking around the cabin had done so either before my arrival or after I'd settled in and went off to check the rivers. I didn't like the idea of someone having walked around the cabin while I was away, but it didn't seem like they'd been inside or touched any of my stuff, so I wasn't too alarmed. But there were two thoughts that I couldn't seem to shake. First off, I figured the fisherman I spoke to might have stopped by to talk or something, but found the cabin empty. It made sense if he knew the area well, and it also wasn't out of the question that he wanted to apologize for getting off on the wrong foot. But whoever had walked around the cabin had done so in what looked like homemade shoes with soles made of rubber tires. And while I remember a handful of details about the fisherman, homemade footwear was not one of them. And this led me to the second thought that I couldn't shake, and this thought concerned who the fisherman had referred to only as they. Now, I assumed they were nothing but a fabrication intended to scare me away from the area, but if it hadn't been the fisherman who was walking around my cabin just a few hours before, then who the hell did? It was maybe an hour or two past sundown by the time I was checking out the weird shoe prints, so too late to just back up and get out of there, at least not without the risk of getting lost out there in the dark. No, first time there and all. Wait, what? Oh, first time there and all. First time. Ugh, okay. Joel, I bought a ticket to Gale a month ago, my first movie since becoming pregnant 3 years ago. The theater never got the movie. We were all waiting in the theater for 25 minutes. No movie. Dude, Honeybee, I'm so sorry to hear that. Damn, what the hell? What happened? Fuck. Yeah, I don't know how that all works. Distribution, logistics. I have no idea how it all... I'm kind of just was like... Tell your soap story. What's my soap story? Back when we were in prison together. Yeah, I don't know. Damn. Sorry about the movie, though. I mean, that would be like a very abnormal experience, right? Just going to see a movie and they're like, sorry guys, we don't have it. Like, what the fuck? I'm sorry about that. Have I seen Iron Lung? I have not. Has anybody seen it? Is it good? Is it good in the hood? How many times have I actually been to prison? Just me and you, man, every time together. For the same old shit. Justin's serving a life sentence in there right now. He's my #1 fan in the prison system. He literally is the mentor to Prison Mike. It is kind of insane, honestly, to think like some people spend their entire existence for the rest of their life in a fucking prison cell. Like, holy shit, bro. Detroiters. My gosh, Pat. Oh. I don't know. Like, it really has to give you a new lease on life getting out of, like, jail or prison where you're just like, fuck me, I'm never going there again. You're near Detroit. Have you watched the show, Detroiters? What is prison like? Honestly, prison is interesting because have you ever seen any of those, like, prison musicals where everybody, like, sings and dances and just kind of generally, like, has a really good time with each other doing choreographed sort of arts? It's basically that. But it can get really tiring when you do it for the 50th day in a row and, you know, Justin is off flirting with some other guy and it's just like, what's going on? Like, I don't know. Who is that the behind the scenes guy? Is that a light guy? I haven't seen him around. What's he do? Does he know the director? Does he know the warden? He's the fluffer. Played by Bill Skarsgård, the old Skarsgård kid. Worst thing an inmate ever said to me was, I get I'm stuck here, but you choose to come here, who is more crazy? Oh, that's kind of, yeah. Wait, like, what made you have to work in the prison system? I had a friend who was a physician's assistant in the prison system, and he said it was pretty miserable. You can make a shiv out of a leg on a plastic kid's chair I'll put in the cake. Yeah, you think they would stop allowing cakes in the prisons for how many nail filers are in them, you know what I mean? People really find life partners in prison. I did see that. I saw, like, there's some app where you can be in prison and then people will literally sign into the app and then, like, be your pen pal. And then you can, like, basically develop some relationship with somebody outside of the prison. And there are generally, like, people insane enough to, like, fall in love with prisoners. The atmospheric music is amazing. Hey, thanks, dude. You can talk to Enect and maybe he'll let you use it too. Hey, super chatting from prison, not so bad, Joel. My butt doesn't hurt at all. That's good. Silent but deadly farts from here on out. What's up, Violet? I mean, not without the risk of getting lost out there in the dark. First time there and all. Why does that sound so weird? Let me start the paragraph over. It was maybe an hour or two past sundown by the time I was checking out the weird shoe prints, so too late to just back up and get out of there. At least, not without the risk of getting lost out there in the dark. It was my first time there and all. But aside from that, I wasn't even close to being spooked enough to pack my stuff up and run. I mean, sure, it was weird that whoever walked past my cabin had very probably made their own shoes, but if they wanted me gone, they could have just as easily trashed my cabin or maybe even set it on fire. I didn't even know for certain where the tracks led, as, like I said, I figured somebody probably just walked past it while heading to or from their favorite fishing hole, maybe. And that's when I decided to follow them, with my flashlight as best I could. And that's how I found out that they led all the way around my cabin and then up towards Granite Peak. And then on a rise which overlooked the cabin by maybe 70 to 80 yards, I found another set of strange shoe prints which joined the others. I could see two sets of very firm prints in the dirt, one of which seemed to match those at my cabin's campfire, and two that were very different. They had the same kind of tread, two vertical lines and many horizontals, but their positioning was visibly different from that of the first, meaning in my best estimations, whoever had walked around my cabin had been joined by someone else as they watched it from a distance, and from the looks of things, they did so for quite some time too. Now that's when I started to get a little spooked, because it was one thing for someone to just walk around the cabin, maybe out of curiosity, and it was another thing entirely to just sit there watching it. And then while it was quite possible that the two guys just wanted to rest for a little bit before continuing their journey, it didn't sit right with me that they chose to do so in a place that overlooked my sleeping arrangement and while facing it too. But still, I wasn't all that worried. I might have only been a wildlife officer, but they didn't send us out there defenseless. I carried handcuffs, a smaller can of bear mace that can fit into my belt, and I carried my M&P 45 too, and since that thing packs enough punch to take down a bear, you can bet your ass it's got enough punch to take down a person or several. A person or several? I'll just say a person or two. A person or two. You can curve a bullet and it will go through both their heads. You can be pen pals with not only human beings, but entities as well. All you must do is perform a series of rituals. That sounds rough. How to prison break. I think the way you break out of prison is you have to wait for Amazon Tuesdays. When everybody's Amazon package comes in, you're going to basically have to get your package, put yourself in the packaging, right? You're gonna have to probably get something really big, maybe like a rocking horse, something of that nature, and then you have to like have Bubba, after a night of intimacy, tape you inside of said package and then say that, return to sender. And then when they come by to take it, they're like, oh, this is big, but it was already big because it was a rocking chair or a rocking horse or whatever stupid shit I just said. Easy as pie. And since that thing packs enough punch to take down a bear, you can bet your ass it's got enough punch to take down a person or two. I felt more capable of defending myself against whoever might decide to pay me a visit, and besides, I only had to spend one night there to get the job done, and then the following afternoon, I'd be able to start making my way back towards the highway and to where my truck was parked. And so I chose to stay the night and complete my work, and in doing so, made a very grave and almost fatal mistake. Now, the cabin was little more than a one-room shack with one door, one bed, and one window. There was a chair in one corner and an empty wooden chest in the other, and then aside from a little sign on the wall which said the cabin was property of the state of Colorado, the walls were completely bare, and the place looked sturdy enough. And then since I was able to lock the doors and shutter the window, I figured that it'd be as safe a place as any to spend the night, especially since I had my gun with me too. And since I was technically federal law enforcement, I used to get tested on my shooting about twice a year, so while I wasn't still convinced that I was in danger, I felt very confident in my abilities to actually defend myself, like I said. But there was just one thing that I didn't like about the cabin, and that's how there was a mail slot on the front door. The mailbox was gone, so it was just a rectangular slot in the door with a thin, hinged hatch to cover it. But since the bed stood almost perfectly in front of it, and there was no way of keeping it closed, I decided to shift the furniture around a little before I got any sleep. I didn't want anyone being able to push the barrel of a shotgun through that thing in the middle of the night, or if they did, I didn't want to be lying there in front of it when it did. I slept very poorly, but then when it came to mailbox, I didn't want anyone being on. Oh yeah. Try and bail you out of jail, but only the first 17 times. After that, you gotta learn your lesson. It's tough, man. Some of us really, really like to steal ice cream from the stores. I could send you a story if you do any prisoner scared straight kind of stories, but if I was on that island, I don't remember, which means they got me. I could be pregnant now. That was a wild ride. What do you own on the Wii? Joel, have you ever sold out? Oh yeah, every day of my life. My soul is gone. Sucked out of me dry. All for a packet of green juice. It's like while everybody else was doing name brand stuff, I was just I pretend sold myself out just to make myself seem like a more popular YouTuber than I was, honestly. I would just say this episode's brought to you by... Oh, I almost spilled my Sprite. My Sprunk. I would say this episode's brought to you by green juice. I don't even know where the green juice is from. I mixed it in my fucking kitchen. No, I'm off the diet, the Dr. Pepper Zero. We're on to Diet Dr. Sprunk. Because Dr. Pepper, you don't realize it? One of those 6-packs of, like, the plastic bottled Dr. Pepper Zeros, it still has, like, something like 400 milligrams of caffeine. And you just, like, have no idea that you're consuming, you know, because you don't feel it, you know, the way you do with an energy drink. But the totality, if you drink all of those, is over the course of a day, is a lot of caffeine. I held up Baskin Robbins with a gun for free taste tests. Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. I didn't want anyone being able to push the barrel of a shotgun through that thing in the middle of the night. Or if they did, I didn't want to be lying right there in front of it when it did. But something did come through that mailbox, and it sure as hell wasn't a shotgun. I slept very poorly that night, and I tend not to sleep great in new places, especially when they're out in the middle of the woods, because I'm such a light sleeper that so much as a rustle outside wakes me up. And I think that I must have been in and out about 12.5 times before I woke up to the strange silence in the cabin, and right away, that struck me as a bit odd. The woods are noisy at night, sometimes noisier than the daytime if you're not counting for bird song, because all the critters, they only come out at nights. Because all the critters that only come out at night start scurrying around, chittering and chirping and fighting amongst themselves. I'd lost count of how many times I woke up to hear something growling or barking or sniffling outside the cabin, and so to suddenly wake up and hear none of it, that set me on edge right away. The absence of any other sound then made it much easier to hear this gentle scraping sound that seemed to be coming from near the front door. And then I looked, and I could see moonlight creeping through the hatch, which appeared to have been pushed open by something. In my half-sleep state, I figured that it might have been that shotgun that I'd been so terrified of, so I grabbed my flashlight and pistol, and then got ready to put a few rounds through the door and whoever was on the other side. Thankfully, it wasn't a shotgun, but seeing what it actually was didn't make me feel any better, because reaching through the mail... Oh my... Is anybody actually still playing Arc Raiders? Can I tell you guys something that I did that is not great, but I had to do it because fuck 'em. So briefly, there was this glitch in Arc Raiders. I won't tell you how to do it, but and I think I think they patched it now. But basically, what you could do is you could duplicate the items that were in your throwable slot infinitely. I don't know exactly how it worked, but I saw somebody on Instagram and I was like, oh shit. And yeah, initially I tried to use it with some like trigger grenades, because that was the only throwables that I had, because the game keeps you perpetually fucking broke like the government. But then when I got in there, it didn't work. And so I was like, ah, fuck. Because I couldn't like dig up the other one. I don't know, I fucked it up somehow. And then I went to the train station, to leave. And when I got to the metro to leave, some guy was on the other side of the train, and he was like, yo, brother, want some ducks? And then he fucking had like a million of these like $1,000 ducks, because these squeaky little ducks were collectibles in the game, and they're worth 1,000 space dollars. And like, it was, I don't know, it was just funny, because anyways, he showed me how to do it, and then I got like I just sat there and I replicated that thing, like, once he showed me how to do it, and I must have gotten like 12 million space dollars from all of that, which, like, really isn't that big a deal, because the way that the game works is it's still reliant upon the fact that you need, like, certain resources to, like, build things or upgrade things or whatever, and you still need other currencies to get other stuff or whatever. So it doesn't exactly put you in some, like, state of infinite, resources or whatever, but it does kind of allow you to at least, like, if you just want to get in and do some PvP, you can go in there and buy like 3 shotguns, 3 what, you know what I mean, and just actually get to fucking play the PvP, which is the whole fucking point of the game. Sometimes I want to hack, like, that kind of ruins the game for me since the challenge gone. Well, that's the thing, is, like, I don't really care about the challenge of accruing resources. The only thing that I really care is the PvP aspect, right? And all you really get from, like, that is, like, you basically just enables you to go in with, like, an El Toro and Stellamontis and just do a bunch of PvP. And it's not like I have, like, a bunch of shit. It's really just that. But it's fun because now I actually get to compete. And, you get, like, 5-7 kills and then you get out or whatever once you run out of shit. Anyways. Oh, sold out to Mr. Ballin. Yeah, I guess I did. Yeah, but I mean, like, I don't do the Mr. Ballin thing anymore, so technically my soul was retrieved. Your sentencing is in 2 weeks. Yeah, what's that? So what did you say what it was about? What happened? I mean, are you even allowed to talk about? Oh, yeah, there it is. I could send you the story if you do jail prison, but not my kind of crime. I suck farts from frog butts after a Budweiser. That's what they're sending you in for. The nuclear warhead in the shape of a duck glitch always works. Exactly. If you like skate games, Bomb Rush, Cyberpunk is awesome. Has anyone played Skate 4? It seems like I always see clips of people doing, like, the world records for a gap or, a grind or some shit like that. And I really did like the old skates, and it pretty much just looks like that, but even better. I had fun grinding on Animal Crossing, then used some Treasure Island codes to get items that I wanted that I was done with the game. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I don't like tedium. I think that's the frustrating thing about the Arc Raiders economy, or just extraction shooters in general, is like, why, if the whole point of the game is to experience, the tension of a shooter, why do I have to go through the tedium of doing little World of Warcraft fetch quests to eventually get to the point where I get to, like, compete via third-person shooter against other people? You know what I mean? Because that's all it is anyways. But I mean, there's a lot of fun moments. The fact that you only have one life in that game, like, you really do feel like the tension in the game. Like, there was this one group of people up on some hill on Blue Gate. Sorry, I know not all of you know what the game is, but I'm just going to talk about it because whatever. On Blue Gate, they were just, like, using a hall cracker to take down a bunch of fucking Rocketeers and collecting their bullshit. And we were having, like, a shootout with them from afar. They were setting up some, like, metal, walls and shit to, like, block us. But anyways, I did, like, a major, huge, like, mile-long rotation around them. And then, like, while they were distracted, I came in and was kind of, like, tapping them along the way. So they were pretty aware that I was coming. But then eventually, like, I, am right underneath their hill, grenade them, go in, fucking kettle the one guy. And then the next, I literally could have got the next guy because the arc, like, was shocking him. But then I was, like, so fucking nervous. I was, like, fumbling between my, like, weapons keys. And then another arc, like, shocked me. And, dude, I'm telling you, like, the arc are, like, some of the most annoying aspects about that game, because you think you're about to have a fun PvP experience, and then some stupid piece of shit thing just, like, lights you on fire. Like, it's so annoying. Hogwarts Legacy has been rewarding. RPGs the only way to avoid the cash grab of online grind. I agree. Like, you just, like, I've been playing that game, No Rest for the Wicked, and it's, like, refreshing to just play, like, a co-op game that's satisfying but also fun. Granted, it's kind of hard, but we put it down to easy, and it's actually just fun now. TDM was Neo 2. Oh yeah, didn't Neo 3 just come out? The loot and upgrade system was so exhausting. Yeah, I don't really see the point of TDM in a game. Like, to me, if you were going to design a game, what you should be attempting to do is design a game that keeps your players in a constant flow state. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's the point of, like, enjoying your game for a while, but then you get to a thing where you're just like, you get punished so hard, and it's just annoying as shit. Have I tried Mugenics? I watched my friend play Mugenics yesterday. I didn't even know about the game, but I saw, you know, Papa Meat was in the commercial for it or whatever on Steam, which I was like, oh shit, I didn't know he was associated with this game, which was cool. It seems like a Final Fantasy Tactics style game. I was kind of like loosely looking at it, but I could hear their frustration with the game. Like, they had died like 7 times in a row, right? At that point, and they're just like, and they're not, you know, it's not like your typical roguelite where you're making progress every time but getting a little bit stronger, which sometimes I feel like is like lazy game design, because it's just a way to like make people play your shit over and over while giving them crumbs. But anyways, they didn't seem to really enjoy it, and they I think they even refunded it on Steam, so fuck them. What's up, Spring? What was the one? Oh yeah, Helldivers. Been playing that. We've been going to Cyberstan or whatever it is, Cybersteen Island, and that shit is pretty intense, and it's fun. It's just, I don't know, it's just like hilarious. Like, the fun thing about Helldivers is you can just be a fucking idiot, you know what I mean? Going with like your machete, if you've unlocked, you know, bought the machete, and just be like, here I go, and then just start chopping people down. Just silly moments that, you know, you don't really get from like PvP stuff. Did they fix it on PC? Which part of the PC? Did they play Undisputed, the newest boxing game? I haven't, no. I used to play Fight Night 3 back in the day. That game was, well, Fight Night 1 was amazing, because at the time those graphics were like insane. Like, whenever, honestly, that was like next gen to me, whenever you would use the right analog stick to like smash people, and then you would see their like cheeks like rippling, you know, that was crazy. The crashing, the crashing. My game hasn't crashed. The only annoying thing with Helldivers is that it'll tab me out. Like, I'll have it in full screen, so it's not even like Windows, but then it will tab me out, and I'm like, I'm not trying to fucking tab out, brother. Anyways. Currently playing an old game, Heavy Rain by Quanta. Oh yeah, Heavy Rain's a good one. Are you playing games that do not incite violence and anger and crime, Joel? No, I mean, I think it's all part of the fantasy is to just be a complete monster at all times. Hop off and sleep through your nerves. Peace out, y'all. My Lord be with you. Hey, thank you. Take care. Maybe you need to level up your democracy. I think I have to be put into a freedom camp to be re-educated on democracy, honestly. But we were playing against the robots, or the bots, on like level 10, and that was fucking miserable. Thankfully, it wasn't a shotgun, but seeing what it actually was didn't make me feel any better, because reaching through the mailbox and up towards the lock keeping the door shut was a man's arm. It wasn't just the arm which scared me, though. It was the condition it was in. I remember how the arm was partially covered by a dark red sweater, how the skin underneath looked weathered and worn, but how the muscle underneath was very clearly defined. This person was strong, very strong, and by the looks of things, hygiene, and in particular nail care, didn't seem to be their strong suit. The guy's hand looked so badly burned it was almost like it had been... Is anybody going to get Reanimal? I mean, I guess you can just watch me play it. But my one friend finally played through Little Nightmares 3 as well. Sorry to keep talking about games. I'm just such a fucking nerd, dude. But like, Little Nightmares 3 really sucks cock. Like, it really sucks like every wiener in town. And not really, not like that much wiener, but like a little bit of wieners, you know, and it's just pretty forgettable. Anyways, yeah, Justin, Reanimal comes out in 2 days, I believe. It's the 13th of Feb, Friday the 13th. I have to go for a short time, but any time behind bars is a long time. For show. Stay safe. Sorry about that. Jodel Bob. Holy frick. Yeah, I'm gonna stream it probably, honestly, maybe Friday night, maybe Saturday. I mean, I feel like Saturday might make more sense. My theory is that Epstein Files RLS cursed IRL TL. What does that mean? My theory is that the Epstein Files reels cursed IRL TL. Does anyone know what that's saying? But thank you for the 2. The Epstein file released cursed IRL TL. What is that saying though? What does that mean? We have to send you to a freedom camp. We have to send you to an island. Oh, okay. My theory is that the Epstein files release cursed IRL timeline. Cursed the real life timeline. I don't know what you mean though. Like, what does that mean? Like, the release of the files caused a curse upon everybody's brains or something? Joel's in the files. Listen, guys, I pretty much just went for the jet skiing. We went for jet skiing. It was really fun. It caused like a glitch in the Matrix. What kind of glitch though? What happened? What the frick happened? Like, everything's all wacky now. Yeah, but everything's been wacky since the dawn of... What specifically is wacky, though? I feel like everything's been wacky. Like, it's almost like they're trying to take the veil off. So, like, I mean, we talked about it before, but I think it's just like a way to, like, desensitize the nation to these kinds of things so that whenever things do start to break down, we just don't really care. We're almost like, yeah, fuck them. We don't need, you know, a democratic republic anymore of the United States. What we need is an AI. Like, we need a sentient AI to run everything, and it'll be the justice system. It'll be the thing that monitors everything, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like, it's just... What about the Miami Mall incident? Somebody said, isn't that with aliens? That was, like, recent. What the fuck was that? What was the Miami Mall incidental? One person's wacky is another person's normal. I mean, it's just like, maybe they've just now arrived at how weird it is, but I mean, I've been following weird shit since fucking 2011, right? So everything is just kind of like, yeah, heard it, been there, done that. Hey Joe, I recently diagnosed with hyperemesis gravidarum this pregnancy, and I've been completely crippled by the nausea and vomiting. Your videos and live streams help me feel better. I mean, I'm so sorry to hear that, Marie, but I hope things get better for you. Large Hadron Collider located at CERN unleashed something. I mean, people say that, but I don't quite know what they mean by it. Do I mean like an infrastructural AI? Yeah, I mean, because you remember like Larry Ellison, like whenever Trump took over at the beginning of his... Do you remember how weird that was when he first took over on his second term? How like it was almost like day one they had all these news, you know, the news was pushing out all this stuff like Trump signing all these executive orders, and a lot of the executive orders were just like boom, 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 one after the other, and one of them was like $500 billion in setting up AI infrastructure, all headed by like, investments from like Larry Ellison and stuff like that. And, basically he controls all the data centers where, ChatGPT and all that kind of stuff goes. which is going, you know, I mean, it's already like monitoring everything post 9/11 and, you know, the Patriot Act, you know, basically everything that they've been spying on you doing, now they can collate all that data via AI. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's pretty clear that, well, maybe it's not that clear, obviously. I'm just kind of thinking out of my ass. But it seems like right now, because of the divisionary aspects of like left versus right, you know, and the fact that nobody trusts any of the system, it kind of seems like we're slowly pushing towards a restructuring of things, like whether that's financial through like some kind of shit coin that we have to like use so that they can monitor everything we do and connect it to our biometrics and all that kind of stuff. It definitely seems like we have to have some sort of shift, but the only question is what's going to be the sort of cataclysm that's going to get us to that point. It's obvious that like the Trump sort of thing, the liberal versus Republican type thing, is there to kind of condition our brain to have division, but by planning that division, you need the outcome, and the outcome seems to be some type of like from, you know, top-down AI controlled financial grid type dystopia of sorts. I'm not trying to fill everybody's head with sadness, but what country has an AI as a seated member? Oh, probably Israel. I have no fucking clue. Soon we'll be there, honestly. I can't stand the fact that even barred states from passing regulation against restricting us. So much for states' rights. Yeah, isn't that weird? And it's like certain aspects of the certain political parties seem to be relatively effective at spreading certain messages as like a hive mind. But when it comes to the important stuff, the restructuring of things, those hive mind political groups don't really seem to know how to mobilize. And my perspective in that case is that, well, they only seem to know how to mobilize the things that they're allowed to be aware of, you know what I mean? So if something gets too repetitious, that goes against the grain of like a larger power structure, it will get shut down very, very quickly if it's not already hijacked in some way. Watch the political stuff, it will get you in trouble, dude. I don't think so. I mean, at this point, it seems like everything's reeled back. Everybody's talking, you know what I mean? I see so much shit on YouTube all over the place where people go into, like, naming names, saying crazy shit. It seems like they've really pulled back the veil as far as, like, at this point, all they really need to do is just keep us distracted with computer video games until the next, war happens or the next economic collapse. Because, I mean, what the fuck are we gonna do about it? Like, honest question, like, whenever shit gets, like, sifted around and shifted and smushed and lorfed and norfed, you just, you know, and it's chaos in the streets and everybody's poor, you know, what are you gonna do? Like, what are you actually going to do? Go post about it on fucking TikTok? You make no difference to any of these people. It's like the left and right are arguing who has less decayed or a rotting corpse for sure. Yeah, it's all silliness. They call it the Hegelian dialectic, and the more you recognize, once you see it, you can't unsee it, you know? Everyone will just adjust as usual, go to work. Exactly. I mean, like, if you all of a sudden got, you know, your plane crashed on I mean, remember Castaway? His plane crashed, everybody's dead, he survives on an island for years, and he grew a big beard and he patted his chest because he made fire. And he had a weird fucking, Wilson thing that he had sex with or whatever, and had somebody's dead face on it or whatever. That's what we'll do, right? We'll just be poor and get used to being poor and live out in the fucking ocean and build huts and live under a bridge and smoke crack to cope with things. It's pretty par for the course being human. Dude, it's freezing down here. I'm cold. The only reason humans no longer have fight in them is because they have too many creature comforts. Yeah, exactly. You get used to your routines, and I mean, the people that really fight back are generally the ones that are hungry, you know. And I think you kind of see that a lot in like the South American countries, right? Where it's like, some people say America is sort of like a steam let-off valve in like a weird way, where it's like you have such a massive level of corruption and oppression from like the cartels down in Central America, South America, that, you know, as soon as things go bad, they're like, oh, we'll just escape to one of the nicer countries like America or whatever that will allow us in. Whereas like maybe you would actually see some type of like upheaval from their people by being oppressed for so long. But I don't know if we'll ever get to that point in the United States, really. Joel can't read. That's true. I just yammer. I yammer and yap. You're right. The beast system, I would love to be on an island. It's got to be the right island. The government will totally investigate itself and bring itself to justice. This is totally 100% true. Confirmed by... fact-checked by real American patriots. Where the hell... Dude, I got a while to go in this story. What am I doing? Isn't it supposed to just read itself, guys? When I step away for a bit, isn't there like an AI me that just does my job? It wasn't just the arm which scared me, though. It was the condition it was in. I remember how the arm was partially covered by a dark red sweater, how the skin underneath looked weathered and worn. Fuck. I remember how the arm was partially covered by a dark red sweater, how the skin underneath looked weathered and worn, but how the muscle underneath was very clearly defined. This person was strong, very strong, and by the looks of things, you're supposed to train Pradeep to start reading for you, so you could, yeah. I was worried you put Pradeep up to the mic and he starts reading that he would just say a slur, and then I would have to like explain to you guys that that was not me, that was my cat. That's one of my biggest fears. So if that does happen, you know it was him. This person was strong, very strong. And by the looks of things, hygiene, and in particular nail care, didn't seem to be their strong suit. The guy's hand looked so badly burned, it was like it had been dipped in a barrel of acid. Like so badly melted and scarred, it looked like his fingers were webbed. And then his fingernails. Hell, they might as well have been claws. They were long, jagged and chipped with this distinctly yellowy brown sort of color under the bright white of my flashlight, and they were reaching for the lock, getting closer every second while clearly trying to stay as quiet as possible. I just reacted. I had no idea who it was or why they were trying to get into the cabin, but I also knew I wanted to give whoever it was one clear warning before I opened fire. And so I hurled across the cabin in my bare feet, and then kind of slammed my shoulder against the guy's arm to crush it against the thick, heavy wood of the front door. I heard a yelp from the other side, before the arm suddenly disappeared back through the mailbox. And then I issued my warning, loud and clear. I told whoever it was that the cabin was the property of the state, and that inside was an armed federal law enforcement officer. I told them that if they left, there and then, nothing would happen to them. But they continued to try and gain access to the cabin. Someone was going... But if... Okay, that's part of the warning. That's part of the warning, guys. Oh my god. Fuck. Have you guys ever thought about, like, being prepared to, like, stop a shooting? You know what I mean? Like, being the person that's, like, at the shooting, that when it, like, starts, you're like, oh, fuck, I'm ready for this. And how embarrassed you would be if it, like, happened and then you, like, forgot your gun. How do you stop a bullet? You stop it with another bullet, it would appear. You never thought about that, sweet dreams? Always carrying. Hey, Claire. Use knives and axes up here. Good luck. I have active aggressor training every year. Sad. Yeah, what do they teach you? I could lay down and cry really loud. Yeah. Damn. I'll be running or hiding. I'm working on getting a handgun license until I guess I'll have to be a meat shield. Damn. Yeah. I don't know. When I was a cook, I thought of throwing hot grease on them. I feel like everyone has the tentative, plan in their head, should it happen. This is what I'll do. I will be the hero they all want. But then they won't cover your story in the news. They never cover the stories of people who stopped the shootings. Can you do horror stories about dating app or bad friends? Yeah, I can look into it. But if they continued to try and gain access to the cabin, someone was going to get shot. I half expected someone to apologize, and I explained that there had been some confusion. It made sense that someone might have been using the place thinking it was abandoned despite the sign, and the last thing I wanted to do was shoot that person dead because they figured they'd locked themselves out by accident. But I didn't hear an apology. I didn't hear any voices at all. There was just silence for a moment or two before suddenly I heard someone banging on the small window shutter. It wasn't banging like someone saying open up. They were trying to break the shutter on the window open, and it only took a couple of more swings of whatever they were holding before the hinges broke and the shutter fell away. After that, all they had to do was smash through the glass, but by then, I had both my flashlight and my .45 trained on that window. So when I saw that rifle barrel get pushed past the broken glass, I fell to my right to minimize my profile and then fired all 10 rounds into the cabin wall where I thought the shooter would be. I saw the flash and smoke of the rifle going off, sending a bullet harmlessly into the cabin wall to my left. But what really caught my attention about that rifle, and what I find myself wondering over all these years later, is the fact that it had a ramrod below the barrel. Now, I can't tell you exactly what kind of rifle it was, although I do have my suspicions, but what I can tell you is how that thing could have been produced A ramrod? What the hell is a ramrod? Is it true that when people in an area have more fun carriers, they have less mass poonings? When they have more fun carriers, they have less mass poonings. More. Are you saying it's like code word for more guns, less shootings? I mean, most likely, right? The advertisers tell the papers not to cover it in the papers, let alone what would be in the paper, which is very dishonest when all is said and done. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I don't know. They just want everyone to be fucking completely unprotected. This guy, thank you for the 2. Stay cool, cool cat. Thank you. Joe's got a hot date with all of us on Valentine's Day, streaming Reanimal. Oh, is that on? Oh, I forgot. Yeah, the 14th. Oh, of course. Oh my god, yeah, it is literally a Valentine. That's my Valentine's Day date with all of you, is a 6-hour video gaming sesh. What is more romantic, honestly? We're all perpetually single forever. Bring water. Alright, I won't chew gum like last time. Statistically, counties with more gun ownership have less shootings to answer questions. I mean, it makes sense, because, I mean, it really, when you look at all the majority of the shootings, they take place in, inner cities where there's a lot of gang violence, right? And, the gang violence, you know, the cities themselves have, strict no-gun laws in them, and yet the guns exist there en masse anyways, so it's an unprotected population, but then also having the largest distribution of illegal weapons as well. It just, none of it makes any fucking sense. I would much rather live in an area where everyone has legal gun ownership with no plan to kill anybody. Guess we gotta bring flowers, chocolates, and roses. Please do, yeah. Melt a bunch of them into a bathtub and I'll just play from in the bathtub filled with hot chocolate and hot dog flavored water. Let's buy some wine, hum Careless Whisper, and play Reanimal by Candlelight. That sounds beautiful. But what I can tell you is how that thing could have been, couldn't have. But what I can tell you is how that thing couldn't have been, what is this saying? Couldn't have been produced any later than 1890. Okay, I get it. Is how that thing couldn't have. Conjunction. But what I can tell you is how that thing couldn't have been produced any later than about 1890. Meaning by the time that guy shot in my direction through that busted cabin window, it had to have been around 100 years old. A rifle like that belongs in a museum, but there it was, fully functional long after it should have been tossed on a scrap heap or locked in a glass case. As I reloaded my pistol, I remember hearing somebody groaning in pain on the other side of the wall, and I called out, "I warned you, buddy!" And I remember how mad I was when I said it too. I was madder than I'd ever been in my entire life, so there may or may not have been a couple of extra curses in there too, but I didn't hear a response, at least not to me. And when I heard someone speaking who I assumed was the wounded rifleman, I could barely understand a word. Now, it sounded like pidgin English, and I'll try my best to recall it word for word, but don't blame me if it sounds dumb as hell. But I'm being honest here. I think whoever I shot named Benny because I heard someone say, "Benny, what's it do? What's it do, Benny?" Benny seemed to groan something in reply, but I couldn't tell if it was a word or just him whining in pain. And then whoever spoke first said something like, "Go get you to the hoga. Go buy so bad." I gave them one final warning for them to keep away from the broken window. Okay, I think I fucked up that pidgin shit. What is this even fucking saying, bro? What the fuck is this saying? Go get you to the Oh, gotta get you to the hogar. Golapaya Sunbad. Oh my god, I'm an idiot. What did the first one? Benny, what's it do? What's it do? Oh, like, what it do? Like, what's going on? What the fuck? Divine Jupiter, thank you for the 2, says Valentine's Day episode coming up. I don't know, I don't have anything planned for it, honestly. I should have looked more into it, but probably do some dating stories here soon. Sorry. Alright. Cause I get you to the hogar. Hogar. What is this one saying? Gobatya some bad. What the fuck is this saying, Gobatya? So gotta get you to the hogar. What's a hogar? Gotta get you to the hogar. Gopatya sun bad. Gotta get you to Hodar. Spell it? I can put it in the chat. Let me just ask ChatGPT. What is this? Does not match any known language. Phonetic gibberish, heavily. A couple of observations. Someone resembles a... Oh my god. I shipped off for the military for Valentine's Day almost 20 years ago. I once almost went to basic horror stories. Almost went. We all gotta go. We all should do basic training together. What is this saying, dude? Gasa getcha to the hogar, golapaya son bad. Does not match any known language. Phonetic gibberish, heavily distorted. Couple of observation. Hogar and golape don't correspond in known roots. Well, what does it sound like in some pidgin? I mean, it must be hospital, but I don't know how to say it to make it sound like... How does Hogar sound like hospital? The Hogar. It could be someone mimicking something like "Go sa get ya to the Hogar, gon pon ya so bad," or distorted "Go get ya today, hold on go pon ya so bad." Whatever. Who fucking gives a shit? Yeah, it's like Creole, but in fucking Colorado doesn't really make any sense. Whatever. The Benny guy seemed to groan something in reply, but I couldn't tell if it was a word or just him whining in pain. And then whoever spoke first said something like, "Go to get you to the Hogar. Go put ya some bad." I gave them one final warning for them to keep away from the broken window, that it was locked and loaded again, and anything they presented to me was going to get blown to pieces. Again, and I'm assuming it was only 2 guys out there, but neither said anything in response. I just heard groans of pain and then the sound of one guy dragging the other across the forest floor. I wanted to approach the window, shine my flashlight out there and get a damn look at the people who had just tried to kill me, but I also knew that doing so would present them with the same perfectly framed target, so I didn't. I just simply stood still as a statue. Jesus Christ. Stood still as a statue, man. Is Pidgin a language? It's just like basically English, but like mixed with people who don't know how to speak English, I guess. You know what I mean? It's like a gibberish English of sorts. I simply stood still as a statue, ears keen for anything that sounded like it was close to the cabin. And I stayed like that, not just till everything was quiet again, but till those natural forest sounds returned and I knew I was relatively safe again. I didn't think it was a particularly good idea to try and run. I didn't know where I was and I'd be making a hell of a lot of noise, and although I was certain I'd injured one of them, I didn't know how many people were out there intent on doing me harm. If I ran, I could end up running right into an ambush of some kind, but then if I stayed, it seemed like only a matter of time before whoever was out there might rustle up some reinforcements and come back to finish me off. It was a long, intense wait before I got the answer to my question, when a bullet suddenly ripped its way through the cabin wall. As I could imagine, seeing the wood splinter and hearing the loud cracks scared the absolute crap out of me. I rolled out of bed and hit the floor, and then, considering my next move, I realized just how much of a sitting duck I truly was. The nightmare scenario was there. Maybe Joel removed it. What are you talking about? I don't think we removed anything. I mean, YouTube. I don't think we really ever, like, remove anybody's messages, to be honest, unless it's mean. Pidgin is my native tongue, yeah. I'll literally give you $7 Subway gift card if you make another alien UFO episode. We do have one coming up. I can check in with him. I know he's been busy, but there's ufology. It's called the Dreamland Motel if you want to, like, you know, get a jump start on his content. Really, really talented content creator who focuses on ufology while also focusing on helping people sleep. And we're going to be doing a collaboration of like 5, you know, stories. It's going to be more documentary style, but I think it'll still be really interesting. So stay tuned for that at some point. I believe he's been a bit busy. Read. I am reading. I was the whole script. I was reading an entire script right there. Promoing. Future promo. Also, I don't know if you guys have subscribed to my, it's pinned at the top, my true crime channel. There's a new true crime video out, and you guess what? It was doing really good. It was a 1 out of 10, and then it got age restricted out of nowhere because of mentioning self-harm. But it was like, you know, part of the fucking story, so it's just like, I don't know, it's so annoying that if you want to make YouTube videos, you literally have to, like, censor the word suicide or hurt oneself or all that kind of shit. What's your take on Jaysism? The people want to know your thoughts on the latest trend of discrimination are and how you plan to overcome the challenges it may present in your life. Any advice? Oh, like people who are racist against Jays. People get really excited because I have a few friends that all have J names. They always like, oh my god, you guys are all J names. That's crazy. So clearly Jaysism is just a fucking myth. All the true haters of Jays have been sent to the re-education camps. The nightmare scenario was there. Oh. Hey, Rayon Gun. Thank you, bro. Thanks for listening. Appreciate you, dude. 5 years is a long time. The nightmare scenario was there being more rifles that time. What does it say? The nightmare scenario was there being more rifles that time, and as I wondered if reinforcements had arrived, a second shot ripped its way through the wood and buried itself in the wood behind me. If they really were using old muzzle loaders and trying to kill me, then there was no way one guy could reload that fast, so there had to be two of them out there by that point, and with Sheriff... What the fuck was that? I got an OLED TV... Hope you don't leave a burn in it. Damn. Wasn't it you that had issues before? Or someone had like a burn something into their OLED? Where do you gather a majority of your stories? Usually people email them. Let's read submissions@gmail.com. Y'all can't handle the J. You got your driver's license. Let's go. I felt so bad. I was behind a student driver the other day pulling out of like a parking lot, and it was like very clear, like student driver. And then they were just like going really slow, but they like had their left turn signal on going through the light. But then instead of like making the left like any normal person, their signal went off and they acted like they were coasting forward. And so I started thinking that they were going forward. I started going left. But then they all of a sudden make their left and like cut me off, and it was just a really awkward moment because in my mind I'm like, fuck, I should have been a little bit more patient because this is clearly a new person, but I may or may not have just like cost them their license because they just cut me off because they forgot which direction they were going or something. I don't know, it was really weird because you kind of go off like the body language of like other cars, but whenever someone's new they just have no fucking clue what they're doing. Is it true I'm the game master of Helldivers? This is true, yeah. I make everything... Like, basically, my job is to come up with a cool idea within, you know, of a new stratagem, like the C4 one, for example. But instead of actually just getting to buy the C4 with the gamer points that you've unlocked from wasting hundreds of hours in the game, I hide that behind a battle pass where you have to spend a tremendous amount of points on stuff that you don't want, like capes and banners and pointless shit, to eventually get to that point of unlocking the cool stratagem. That's what they designated me to do. So there had to be two of them out there by that point, and with surefire reinforcements since a badly wounded man couldn't load no muzzleloader. And I didn't know if I was surrounded, if people were moving in closer with knives or hatchets or all that kind of stuff, but I knew that I had to get out of there. And so I ran. I didn't run out shooting like some old western. I just picked my moment, committed to an angle, and then ran as fast as I think I ever did in my entire life. I tripped on something and fell at one point and heard voices behind me, yelling like they were pointing me out, but I was up on my feet and moving again in no time, and despite them firing a shot in my direction, I don't think it got near me. I must have ran for maybe an hour or maybe 2 on and off, coughing and panting till I finally couldn't run anymore and stopped to take an actual breather. I didn't count on anyone having the stamina to follow me, and for a while I thought that I would outrun them, but before long, I heard this sound getting louder and louder, like this rustling that I could hear behind me in the dark coming from up and down the forest. They'd followed me, a lot of them too, and they'd been behind me the whole time. I ran until the sun came up, and I reached a highway, and then I kept on running until I saw a truck coming my way. I flagged it down frantically, my eyes darting between the trees and the truck, looking out for any goddamn inbreds running at me with antique rifles ready to fire. But the woods were empty and quiet, and there were no people out there coming for me. The guy behind the wheel thought that I was taking him hostage at first because after hopping into his passenger seat, dripping with sweat and holding my .45, I screamed at him to drive before he got his head blown off. He was relieved as hell when I started to thank him for picking me up and said that I'd wire him $100 if he just dropped me off at the next town. But once I told him what had happened, he told me so much payment was unnecessary and that he was just happy to help someone in need. I didn't mention the old guns, the weird dialect they were talking in, or that I might well have killed a man if even half the bullets I fired had hit him. Now, I shared that last part with my superiors, but not the first 2 parts. I didn't want them to think that I was going nuts or that I was embellishing my story to make it look like a clean shoot, and I ended up telling that story over and over and over again. I had to tell it a second time to the local sheriff's department and then again to 2 detectives from the state police once it was clear that something significant had taken place. It was tough on me mentally because the procedure stated that they were to treat it as a potential homicide until proven otherwise. They photographed the area, collected my .45 for ballistics testing, and searched the area for blood or bodies. They found plenty of the former, none of the latter, so murder was off the table. But I still had to undo the same multi-agency process mandated by Colorado law for officer-involved shootings. There was a recorded interview with a union rep, I was placed on paid leave, and then a couple of weeks later, the district attorney confirmed the use of deadly force was justified under self-defense statutes. Fuck. What's a ruck? A ruck is like a pretty cool hike that you go on, but you're wearing a bunch of like weighted gear, or you're wearing your like military gear. So it's kind of trains you on what it's like to basically be out there in the wilds of military service for long periods of time. Does anyone recognize your voice out in public? No, but when I went to the gym that I currently work out in, the one guy, when he found out that I had that channel, he was like, dude, I've been listening to you for a long ass time. And I was like, that's hilarious. So he's obviously very nice and it's all good, but it's just funny. How old am I? I'm 35. A ruck is a military apartment? Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Worst aging movie you came back to? Oh. Sometimes I go back. Like, I still really like Starship Troopers. But honestly, some of the CGI is still pretty solid because they use practical effects and stuff. I don't know, sometimes the CGI in like Jurassic Park 1 is kind of... Well, definitely Mortal Kombat, like the real-life Mortal Kombat movies from like 1994 or whatever. How can one improve their narration skills? I guess just do it and get feedback, and then basically it's almost like trying to do an impression, right? Say you wanted to get good in an impression, like really wanted to get good at it. You do it for people and then they tell you what they think if it sounds like it, and then you just constantly try to like maybe adjust your voice a little bit to get it where you want it. But at the end of the day, getting good at narration specifically is just doing it over and over again till something takes form of sorts. And then also you want to have maybe like somebody, like some narrators that you kind of like look up to or whatever, that you can kind of like emulate your style off of, because you're going to subconsciously bury their dictation into your brain. That sounds weird, but you know what I mean? Like, you're going to take their, style and adapt it to your own, you know what I mean? Even if you don't realize it. Ugh. Read to your cat for 3 hours every morning, exactly. All right, sweetie, you better be listening. Dude, it was so funny today. Like, Pradeep gets so upset when I don't just, like, lay in bed and rot with him all fucking day. Because he was, like, laying on me. I'm, doom scrolling on my phone in my bed. And he's just, like, sitting on my chest. Just, like, he's got to be all up in your shit, right? And then I'm like, all right, I gotta go do stuff. And then I, like, pick him up and, like, set him off to my side. And then as I'm, like, still looking at my phone, he just out of nowhere just, like, bites me right in my fucking chest. I'm like, what the fuck? But he's never done that before, but he's gotten mad whenever, like, you guys have heard him come down on stream whenever I don't give him some sort of snack or whatever he wants whenever I'm taking a break during the stream. But it's just, I don't know, him doing it, like, directly to my chest because I took him off. It's just, yeah, he wants his time. It's really funny. Is he an outside kitty? No, he's just indoors. I wish I could just let him outside to go do his thing, but I'm so terrified that he'll just get killed by a owl or something. The guy is Saturn Soul. That sounds exactly like me. Interesting. We have to go find this guy. Oh, see you, Naterator. Take care, dude. This is my full-time job. Yeah, YouTube podcast. It is kind of funny because, I mean, he's going to be 12 this year, right? But when I told my one friend, it's like, yeah, he's going to be 12. And they're like, what? They're like, I thought he was like 5. So that's kind of exciting. I mean, like, Pradeep does really have, like, kitty energy. Like, he just looks really young for a kitty cat. Oh, you're not leaving, Naterator, sorry. So my hope is that he'll live for 35 years or something. Maybe forever. Who knows? Sometimes they haven't done it yet, but I think a cat could live forever, probably, if he wants to. There was a recorded interview with a union rep. I was placed on paid leave, and then a couple of weeks later, the district attorney confirmed the use of deadly force was justified under self-defense statutes, which meant no charges and an immediate return to work following a psychological evaluation. I dressed it up like I'd run into some very aggressive poachers, guys who felt so disrespected or whatever they'd I dressed it up like I'd run into some very aggressive poachers, guys who felt so disrespected that they'd rather kill a fed than move off their patch of area. And I know that wasn't the whole story. I know the poachers don't have their own damn language that they speak among themselves, and I know they got better gear than muzzle-loading rifles that would have looked more at home in the Civil War. I've read a lot of crazy stuff online about who those men might have been, so much that honestly I don't know what to think anymore. I just know that there's folks out there in places people barely even know exist, and they've been living the same way for a long, long time now. And from what I can gather, they sure as hell don't like anyone showing up to try and change things. Fuck yeah, baby. Pigeons versus the feds. You fractured your ankle. I'm sorry to hear that. I'd rather cats are like dogs, but with Asperger's syndrome, which is hilarious. Oh yeah, that was, what's his name? Shane Gillis had a joke like that, where like dogs are like Down syndrome and cats are like autism, which is true. All right, that was story 1. Can someone take a shower for me? I'm so tired. Yeah. It's okay. Someone took a shower in my stead. I don't need one. Downtism. Okay. Make that a little smaller. Zoom in a tad. Fuck up the formatting. Did you go see Gale today? I did not, no. Is it good? I don't even know if it was showing around my area, to be honest with you. Actually, let's go look. Yeah. Iron Lung is there. Let's see, maybe here. What do they got playing? What the fuck? Why do they not just have the fucking movies listed out, for Christ's sake? Browse movies, duh. Zootopia 2, let's fucking go, baby. Goat? Jesus Christ. How many fucking... Dude, my friends' kids were watching The Secret Life of Pets, which looks exactly like Zootopia 2, which looks exactly like this movie Goat. It's just like this anthropomorphic fucking furry bullshit, which I'm sure they're funny movies, but I'm like, how many of they all just like look so fucking similar. Wuthering Heights, Crime 101, The Strangers Chapter 3, Iron Lung, Send Help, Zootopia 2, definitely seeing that. Yeah, I don't see Gale, sadly. What the fuck? Would you watch Return to Silent Hill? Probably, yeah. I feel like the Silent Hill movies were actually good. The inconsistency of projecting yourself in the law is why I'm going to prison. I shot somebody, but as you said, you'd be okay with people having guns without the intent to kill. Well, I shot... Oh, that's why you're going to prison. Wait, what happened? Was it you shot someone in self-defense, or what did you do? The inconsistent of protecting yourself in the law is why I'm... Oh, the inconsistency of protecting yourself in the... Right, yeah, that is the one bad thing, is like... Next to him, the shrapnel went into his foot. Wait, I don't think we got the full story here or whatever. But yeah, no, that's the unfortunate thing, is like, you know, the use or discharge of a firearm can result in some pretty serious charges, you know, especially in the context of what some might argue is self-defense or whatever, you know, you're going... It just really depends on where you're at and in the specific county and all sorts of shit like that. What does cabin in the woods mean? It's just like kind of a concept, like shit that took place in a cabin in the woods, quite literally. The only purpose behind GOAT is just for someone in the movie to call the main character the greatest of all time, or just say that's the GOAT. Right, yeah, but like be a literal GOAT. Pretty sick, if you ask me. Or for like people to get like confused when they go to the theater and they're like, instead of seeing Zootopia 2, they're like, well, let's go into GOAT, and they just accidentally walk in. Last year, in the state of California, there were more than 1,200 log cabins listed for sale. About a third of those changed hands. Some were multi-story monstrosities which sold for millions of dollars, while others were a little more humble both on the outside and on the inside. Some places stay in families for generations, getting passed down from one relative to the next until they finally... Dude, what is up with me and like the start of stories, like not being able to... I don't know. You crave chicken dumplings, Joel. Hand them over. Start cooking. Alright. Put on my apron. My assless chapped apron. Some places stay in the families for generations, getting passed down from one relative to the next until they finally either decide to sell it or make it livable. And either way, that's where I come in. I market my business as a kind of cabin renovation service, and I worked in tandem with various realtors for a quick turnaround. If someone was a little skeptical on buying a rundown old cabin, they often changed their tune when told that their new price purchase would be ready. Oh my fucking god. What fucking... Okay. Arial, maybe? Yeah, maybe we'll do Arial. I don't know why, some fucking, text fonts are just the absolute worst when trying to read. They're all, spread. Imagine if your eyes, where they are right now, were just, pulled way to the side of your head. That's what it feels like trying to read some of these texts. Wingdings it will always be the goated one. Papyrus? Let's try Papyrus. Do I even have that? I haven't unlocked Papyrus yet. I have Pacifico. That one doesn't look great, though. I don't think I've unlocked Papyrus on Google Word. Try Lobster. Have you guys unlocked Lobster font? I really could see at some point some Word document thing gamifying things by unlocking different fonts. It's coming, folks, it's coming. They're making you work for shit you've already had. You've had it forever, but now they're making you work for it. Making you do extra. I market my business as a kind of cabin renovation service, and I worked in tandem with various realtors for a quick turnaround. If someone was a little skeptical on buying a rundown old cabin, they often changed their tune when told their new purchase would be ready for sale or a vacation in just under 2 weeks. I work on around 50 to 20 cabins a year, fixing them up, dusting them off, and then spending a night or two there to make sure everything's working as it should be. And it was something I kind of fell into after the crash in 2008 when my old boss retired in 2013, man. What's happening with Pennsylvania and Ohio? We're having a naval war in Lake Erie. It's because those goddamn Ohioites are trying to bring back the McRib or slavery or something. I forget. It was something I kind of fell into after the crash in 2008. And then when my old boss retired in 2013, and without any kids to pass it on to, the business went to me and I never looked back. I consider myself very lucky. I've worked on some incredible homes for some incredible people, but I also worked about a dozen or so jobs that didn't have the outcomes I was hoping for, and among them, there's one that I thought might end both my career and my life. Way back in 2015, so more than 10 years ago now, good lord, where's the time go? I got a call about a job. The guy said he just purchased a cabin up near Marble Mountain, way out in the woods for the peace and quiet. It was a nice place, but it hadn't been occupied in almost 5 years. All the cobwebs, bird nests, and accompanying bird poop had really knocked the price down, and so he managed to get himself a really good deal on it. And then when he'd asked about options for cleaning and renovation, the realtor had given him my number. I was only too happy to be of service, so I gave him my account details and asked him for the property's exact location. And that was one of the nifty things about my job, that it could be conducted almost entirely by email. But in this case, the man hiring me wanted to meet in person. And while that wasn't unusual, maybe 1 in 10 were old-timers who wanted a face-to-face, the way he acted just struck me as kind of odd. The first thing, and this didn't strike me as suspicious until much later for reasons I'll explain, but he showed up wearing a baseball cap and what could only be described as oversized sunglasses. Now this is Northern California, so a ball cap and shades is practically the uniform for any man over 30 here, and so his glasses didn't strike me as weird until later on when I tried to contact him again. The thing that did strike me as weird, and I'm talking right there upon meeting him, was the length of time he held my hand for after he shook it. I tried to pull it away after we shook hands, but he gripped it gently and held it firm for maybe 4 or 5 seconds after he stopped shaking. Now, after I pulled my hand away politely, he said something about being able to tell a lot about a man from his handshake, and then he invited me into the roadside diner he elected to meet at, and then we hashed out the specifics of the job over cups of coffee. He agreed to pay me half the money up front and then the other half plus expenses when the job was done. But when I asked him to transfer the first half in the next 48 hours or so, he told me he'd rather pay there and then, and in cash. That was the second thing that struck me as sort of odd about the job. I hadn't taken a cash payment since the very early days of taking over the business, as naturally, no one wanted to walk around with thousands of dollars in cash on them. But for some reason, this guy didn't mind at all. He seemed perfectly content to walk back to his car, take out an envelope stuffed with cash, and count out a couple of thousands and hundreds. A couple of thousand. Finally made it feel like it's been a while. This last few shoots been a crazy year so far, has it? Yeah, what's poppin'? Wart. Berries with beer. Berry-fied beer. Yeah, how did you guys hear about Mugenics? Was it like promoted by Papa Meat a bunch, or how did it get promoted? And what is it like if you played it? He seemed perfectly content to walk back to his car, take out an envelope stuffed with cash, and count out a couple of thousand and hundreds right there in front of me. I remember thinking, this guy is either crazy rich or crazy or both. But since his money was just as green as the next guy's, I took it, went home, and then drove out to the cabin in my truck the next morning. Despite making it out to be a wreck, the cabin wasn't that bad, but the guy was right about one thing, and that's just how secluded the place was. I had to drive down about 5 miles of dirt road before I found it and only got lost twice. And then apart from the animal sounds, the peace and quiet out there was phenomenal. I got to work right away, clearing out anything that looked like junk before I stacked the furniture and swept the floors. The place was a mess, with no one having given it any serious maintenance for at least 2 to 3 years. But after about 6 hours of solid work, it was close to being livable again. Close. But I still elected to sleep in my truck that night. And that was a regular thing of mine, because a single man can't just clean up an entire cabin in one day, not in the... Eugenics sounds like genociding people who don't have chiseled jawlines. That's literally what the game's about. Hey Joel, protein isn't needed with every meal, fight me. I don't give a shit. You can eat whatever you want. What you should be eating is Takis. Every meal you should be having Takis and spicy noodles and a Pepsi. That's what you really need. That was a regular thing of mine, because a single man can't clean up an entire cabin in one day, not even if he starts at dawn and ends at dusk. And so I was used to sleeping out in the woods at night and having all kinds of deer and coyotes come wandering around my truck. After a couple of years, I always slept through the night, and that night was no different. I was out like a light just a couple of minutes after I reclined my seat, and then I didn't wake up until I saw the dawn breaking through the trees. I finished off the coffee I'd bought, I'd had a smoke, and then got back to work. And then another 8 hours later, with a huge bunch of trash piled up outside, the place was just about livable. Blue Takis. But you also have to wear Cookie Monster pajama pants as you eat them. Oh, so I didn't know that liver guy was threatening to kill Joe Rogan. That's crazy. Is he still doing it? Have they done like a welfare check on the guy? Because like, he genuinely seems like he's going to be one of those guys that gets shot by the police when they pay him a visit because he goes, "Did Joe Rogan send you? Did Joe Rogan send you?" Yo, May, how you doing? I finished off the coffee I'd brought, had a smoke, and then got back to work. And then another 8 hours later, and with a huge bunch of trash piled up outside, the place was just about livable again. I'd cleared out the bedroom, replaced the mattress and sheets, and then cleaned up the little living area and kitchen area too. These were nothing more than a table and chairs, a workspace and stove, and it was long way before anything like a You just saw on a Ray Williams reel? Oh, nice, dude. Oh, the game? Or what are we talking about? Mugenics? Whose game is it? I'm just gonna look it up. Who is developing Mugenics? Edmund Macmillan, best known as the creator of The Binding of Isaac and Super Meat Boy. Tyler Glale, a American indie developer who has worked on titles like The End Is Nigh and Closure. They restarted the project in 2018 after an earlier version was canceled, and the finalized Mugenics released on February 10th, 2026 on PC, combining tactical gameplay with cat breeding and roguelike mechanics. Sonomi, you tried Ark Raiders? No, you fucking didn't. I don't believe you for a second. What did you think of it? That game is miserable, isn't it? Okay. Wait. Who has been promoting it? Ed McMillan, Tyler Glale, the Gaming Press. Okay, I thought it was like a bunch of YouTubers that were doing it. Okay. I gotta piss really bad. Hey, Emma, how you doing? Why would anyone want to become American right now? I don't know. I think like the thing is like people's perceptions of any country, right, as a whole, is a complete farce, right? The media that you see on the news or whatever is not representative of like everywhere. Like where you see like combat zones might quite literally be, insanity that's occurring within like a block of a particular city or something like that, you know what I mean? So America's a good country. I mean, I really enjoy it here. I don't have any issues. And America's like so vastly huge that, I mean, it's basically like going through the entirety of Europe, right? All the different countries and the spacing and all that kind of stuff, etc., etc. Listening to you on Spotify for my drive home. Can't believe you're on live right now. What are the chances? What's up, broski? Thanks for listening. You like it? You might actually buy Ark Raiders. Dude, don't buy the game, man. Since when do you even like anything other than like Princess Peach's Island? What would ever possess you to want to play Ark Raiders? That game is poop and not peaceful at all. I think at this point America is at the bottom of the list of the countries that suck right now. I mean, I don't know. I'd rather live in America than where would I not want to live? Let's see. Probably not the Congo. Probably wouldn't want to live in the Congo. I'd cleared out the bedroom, replaced the mattresses and sheets, and then cleaned up the little living area and kitchen area too. These were nothing more than a table and chairs and a workspace and stove, and it was a long way from being anything like luxury, but it was still a fine place for what he'd paid for it. Now, there was just the matter of field testing it to make sure everything worked all right. I got to cleaning out the stove and then went about collecting up the firewood that I'd earned by chopping up an old moldy armchair. I loaded up the stove, made sure that it wasn't about to explode on me or anything, and then set about boiling up some water so I could make myself some noodles. Now, the place didn't have any running water, but I had a multi-pack of bottles that I kept in my truck, and so after a quick bottled water shower to make sure that I wasn't stinking too bad, I laid down on the new mattress and drifted off to sleep. I woke up a couple of hours later with a full bladder, and once I remembered where I was, I knew that I'd have to go outside to make a little dog. I'm going to say make a little piss. Make a little piss. I'm going to make piss. Unless someone has so much money, there is no ideal country. Well, I would just say it just depends on, like, your buying power, right? So, like, you're obviously going to get a job, right? But what's, like, the bottom level of jobs? You know, you would think, like, something like McDonald's or Walmart or, you know what I mean? Some shit like that. And then, so the question is, like, does the countries themselves have the infrastructure and buying power within, like, the economic market to allow you to live a life that is decent? Well, you know, that's a good question. What countries have the strongest buying power of their currencies in the world? Am I buying the next Halo? Is there a new Halo coming out? Highest valued currencies 25 to 26. Kuwait dinar, often the strongest currency in the world by unit value. Bahraini dinar, very high relative to the US dollar. Omani Rial, also among the top 3 strongest. Jordanian dinar, strong currency. The British pound, Cayman Islands, Euro, United States is number 9. Well, maybe I'm wrong. What about the countries where if you get a minimum wage baseline job allows you to have the most livable life with one job? I don't know, like Arc Raiders, because you get one life and you go around collecting a bunch of trash to make more trash just to lose it. Did you even play the game? In practice, the countries where a single full-time minimum wage job can support a modest but stable life tend to be a high welfare northern European nations with strong labor protections. This depends on minimum wage level, cost of living, healthcare costs, public transportation, social safety nets. Australia, why it ranks high, one of the highest statutory minimum wages in the world, strong worker protections, public healthcare, overtime penalty rates. Reality, in many regions, cities, a single full-time minimum wage job can support rent, food, healthcare, and modest savings. Major cities like Sydney are harder. Interesting. Luxembourg, why it ranks high, highest minimum wage in the EU, strong public services, excellent worker protections. Reality, very expensive housing, but wages are extremely high relative to Europe. Norway, Denmark, Sweden, Germany, Netherlands, countries where it's harder. United States, healthcare plus rent make it very hard in most metro areas. Canada, high housing costs. United Kingdom, rent pressures, especially London. Countries where one job is typically have strong unions, universal health care, rent controls or tenant protections, strong social safety nets, smaller wealth gaps. Is there any downsides, such as super expensive items elsewhere? Yes, this is the part that people often miss. Countries where minimum wage jobs support a stable life usually trade off with higher prices in certain categories. Here's where the downsides typically show up. Norway, Denmark, Sweden. Alcohol is extremely expensive, heavy taxes. Cars are very expensive, import taxes plus VAT. Eating out costs a lot, high income taxes. You don't pay for healthcare or college, but discretionary items are pricey. Australia, housing in major cities is extremely expensive. Imported good costs more. Geographic isolation, cars and electronics cost more than the US. Trade-off high wages often offset some of that, but lifestyle goods are pricier. Germany down, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you get the idea. I don't even know why I'm talking about this, but... What's up, Jim Hernandez? I woke up a couple of laters. Fucking shite. I woke up a couple... Oh my god, I can't talk. I woke up a couple of hours later with a full bladder, and once I remembered where I was, I knew that I'd have to go outside to make a little piss. I rolled out of bed, admired my handiwork for a moment as I saw how much cleaner the bedroom was, and then slid on my boots and my bare feet before I started clunking across the wooden floor. But the second I did, I heard a voice coming from outside the cabin. It sounded brief and panicked almost, exactly how someone might sound if they suddenly realized someone was inside the cabin and awake. I used to keep a pump-action shotgun with me wherever I went out on a job, mainly for grizzlies, but it sure helped me feel safer around people too. And so the first thing I did was grab it and rack a shell nice and loud so whoever was outside would be able to hear it. Now, I figured that they'd just run off at the first sign of trouble, and I'd hear them beating feet as soon as they heard that chunk of my shotgun. Now, after I did, I heard one of the men outside crystal clear as he kinda loudly whispered, "Hurry up!" I immediately ran outside because I'm thinking, what the hell are these guys up to? And then once I was out there in the dark, I started yelling about how they were dead unless they got the hell away from the cabin. And that's when I saw the smallest of sparks in the darkness ahead of me, and then it flew, and then whoosh, the corner of the cabin where the bed just so happened to be went up in flames. I remember seeing two guys running with their backs to me, both lit up by the rush of that flame, but I didn't shoot, and I didn't chase them either. My mind went straight to preserving all of my hard work, so I ran to my truck to grab the fire extinguisher. Luckily, I'd interrupted the two men, at least I think it was two, at what must have been the most crucial moment of their venture. They'd been in such a rush that they heard someone was inside that they didn't take the time to properly cover a whole wall in what I can only assume was gasoline. So when they were forced to spark a match early, it didn't do anything like the damage they'd hoped, and I was able to put the fire out in just a couple of minutes. Once it was out, I remember dropping the extinguisher and grabbing my shotgun again, and then I was so wired with adrenaline that all I did till sunup was circle the cabin with a shotgun in my grip, eyes and ears peered for any kind of movement or sound. And once it was light enough, I tried to trace the path of the men's escape to where it had been cramped. Fuck. Never used your passport. My friend asked me if I wanted to play Overwatch 2, and I took your advice and said, no, dude, yeah, you don't want to fucking play that shit. It's fucking miserable. All they would do is have you go play Mercy, and then they would yell at you and beat you with a stick. In a lot of countries, you can go to jail for online posts. That to me is like the weirdest thing, because that seems like, you know, obviously relatively newer in the past 10 years, like in the UK and stuff, just the idea of getting arrested for some stupid shit that you say online, like what the fuck? And it's all just like interpreted by whatever the state wants to paint you as, I guess. I mean, that's a curiosity of mine too. I mean, how many people have been arrested in the UK for online posts? Did you play Star Wars Battlefront back in the day? I did, yeah, the Star Wars 1 and 2, but I didn't play the remake, the reboot of it or whatever. I watched a little bit. It looked great. In 2023, UK police made roughly 12,000 arrests for online and electronic communications allegedly deemed offensive, menacing, or causing annoyance or anxiety. Jesus Christ, that sounds so open-ended. These come from custody data attained from 37 police forces under laws like the Communications Act of 2003 and the Malicious Communications Act of 1988. That's an average about 30 to 33 arrests per day for this category. The number of actual prosecutions or convictions from those arrests is much lower. In 2023, only around 1,119 people were ultimately sentenced for those offenses, with far fewer receiving custodial sentences. These charges can include social media posts, but they're all strictly social media arrests. They cover a wide range of electronic communications, email, text messages, Many arrests do not lead to charges or conviction. Police often release people after investigation because the evidence doesn't meet prosecution thresholds. The laws used, like Section 127 of the Communications Act 2003, made it an offense to send communications that are grossly offensive, indecent, obscene, or menacing, but these are widely criticized for being vague. Well, I'm curious, like, after they arrest but no conviction, does that set a precedent? Heard about a guy who took a vacation to Florida and took a picture with a shotgun, posted on social media, came back to the UK and was arrested. That's fucking crazy. I just don't understand, like, what is the idea? Like, just trying to intimidate your population with stupid shit based on their social media posts? And it's gotta be weird being one of the police officers within the UK who has to be the asshole who knows, because I know people from the UK aren't dumb, right? But they oftentimes do, like, medicate for every little stupid fucking thing when it comes to societal discourse or, you know, any sort of societal issue. And so they always overkill everything with how they approach it. But it's got to be such a pain in the ass being like the one that has to come and be like, sorry, I got to arrest you because you said something naughty online. Oh no, we're definitively not the Stasi at all, I promise, yes. When those courts interpret a statute like communication laws, the interpretation becomes binding and persuasive for lower courts. An arrest alone is an investigative step, not a judicial ruling, does not interpret the law, does not create binding case law. But does it matter socially or practically? Yes, just because it's a chilling effect. If people see headlines about arrests for online posts, they may self-censor regardless of conviction rates. Investigative precedent informed police forces may develop internal practices about when to arrest based on prior cases, but that's policy evolution, not binding law. Data trail and arrests may show up in police records, appear on enhanced background checks, affect employment in sensitive roles, yada yada yada. Brits radicalized in America. Radicalized. Hey, I went out and shot a shotgun. I'm a radical. Did you hear about ski jumpers are shooting up their penises with hydraulic acid filler to add bulk, to add more fabric surface area to their suits to get an air advantage? I did hear, yeah, that they were developing into like some flying squirrel evolution shit with their scrot. Social media officers. Can you imagine being a social media officer? This is so stupid. Joel, do you have a Switch 1 or 2? I have a Switch 1. I didn't play it very much. I got it for like Zelda and just didn't make it very far and lost interest. And then I really have no interest in the Switch 2 at all because there's no good games for it. Like, what are you supposed to play? Once it was light enough, I tried to trace the path of the men's... Oh, wait. There had been such a rush once that they didn't take time to... Oh. Radical. Radical. They'd been in such a rush once they'd heard someone was inside that they didn't take the time to actually cover a whole wall in what I can only assume was gasoline. So when they were forced to spark a match early, it didn't do anything like the damage they'd hoped, and I was able to put the fire out in just a couple of minutes. Once it was out, I remember dropping the extinguisher and grabbing my shotgun again. Then, I was so wired with adrenaline that all I did till sunup was circle the cabin with a shotgun in my grip, eyes and ears peeled for any kind of movement or sound. And once it was light enough, I tried to trace the path of the men's escape to see if they'd been camped out nearby or anything. But I'm not some tracker, so I didn't find anything. I just made my way back to the cabin and got packed up to leave. I didn't leave right away. I was still scared that those guys would come back and, for whatever reason, finish what they started. And so while I waited for around 7:30 to roll, And so while I waited for 7:30 to roll around, which I thought was an appropriate time to call the client and give him the bad and very strange news, I did a few final laps of the cabin, some nice wide ones to make sure that no one was out there just waiting to creep in. And that's when I found the trail cams. Now, for those that don't know, a trail cam is just a camera that you put on a trail, mostly to record animals and their movement patterns and their behavior, but also sometimes for security. The trail cam that I found tied to a branch looked to be just that, a creative way of providing security for the guy's new cabin, and I figured that because they looked to be almost brand new. Genuine question, does anyone else listen to the original soundtracks of movies and TV shows, not the songs featured in them, but the official soundtracks? Yeah, like the scores and stuff. I definitely think scores are really important. Like I definitely am more excited about like video game soundtracks and scores. Yeah, OSTs, all that kind of stuff. A America, number 1. B America, number 2. The trail cam I found tied to a branch looked to be just that, a creative way of providing security for the guy's new cabin, and I figured that because they looked to be almost brand... God damn it. Guys, I gotta piss. I'll be right back. Sorry. I went and got apple. Which one of you freaks wants to listen to me eat an apple? Side quest. Took a piss. Drank the piss. And then I got an apple. And I found honey. The Manuka honey bullshit. But it's in the fridge. Because it kind of annoys me when honey, like, is too drippy. You know what I'm saying? So, my hope was to bring it down with a spoon and put it on the apples. But it would not integrate very well because it was so solidified. So I just took a scoop of it and I ate it. And then got the apples. And I saw a protein drink in my fridge, so I grabbed that. And then the funniest thing happened ever. I bought a bunch of land ornaments, or backyard ornaments. And one of them was like a stone cat. That's kind of like, looks like it's stretching a little bit with its tail up. And I look, and it's still in my kitchen for some reason, just sitting there. It's oftentimes been mistaken as an actual cat. But then I looked over and Pradeep was doing the exact same position of it. And they were both looking at me. I'm like, holy shit, dude. I think my cat might be a genius. And he also might be a stand-up comedian. Take a big bite in my mic. Nom, nom, nom. How come the fucking creator of eugenics didn't ask me to fucking meow in his dumbass game? Kind of bullshit. No, I'm just kidding. It's fine. I'm not cool enough. I'm not cool enough. I'm one of the loser YouTubers. My boyfriend said he's seen posts about China finding some kind of AI anti-aging stuff. Anyone else see that? I keep seeing shit about fucking some anti-cancer stuff developed in Russia. Yeah, I better be in the eugenics DLC. Southern Cannibal said something about you getting flagged as AI by YouTube. Is that true? I don't think so. I got 2 more slices to eat. I mean, I hope not. But there was a Booze and Booze has a friend. I forget his friend's channel name. But his friend's channel got flagged as AI narration or something. And so he lost monetization on the channel. Which is sad to hear. I don't know. What kind of apple? I don't know. This one's from Panera. Whatever one's Panera uses. It had a little leaf on it, so it was cute. What color? Apple color? Red, like a red. You see RFK citing his doctors supposedly curing schizophrenia with keto. I mean, is that true, or is it just like one study or something? Let's see. Did RFK Jr. reference a doctor curing schizo with keto? That's such a funny thing. Why am I going keto? To cure my schizophrenia. Do you think Bad Bunny has schizophrenia and he was just like saying, he was like rambling threats of killing everyone in the stadium when he was doing his performance, hello everybody, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to blow this whole fucking place up. Ba-boom, ba-boom. That would have been fucking hilarious. Like, nobody has any idea what he's saying. They're like, yeah. Latino. I'm going to blow this whole fucking place up. We're going to scalp you. We're going to cut your fucking throats. Okay, and an event in Tennessee early in 2026, Kennedy, who was serving as the U.S. Health and Human Service Secretary, said a ketogenic diet has been used to cure schizophrenia and claimed a Harvard doctor had done that. He also referred to cases where people lose their bipolar diagnosis by changing their diet. What the actual evidence shows, there is no case reports and very small studies where individuals with schizophrenia or other serious mental illnesses experience symptom improvements on a strict ketogenic diet. For example, 2018 report by Dr. Christopher M. Palmer, a psychiatrist affiliated with Harvard McLean, described a handful of patients whose schizophrenia symptoms went into remission while following a ketogenic diet. These cases are interesting but not sufficient to prove a cure. Larger controlled clinical trials are still needed. Well, yeah, that makes sense. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised in some fashions, like cutting out, what the stuff that you cut out with keto, right, is just probably a lot of like processed sugar bullshit. I don't know. If you do have those kinds of things, it might be worth a shot to see how you feel after, changing up your diet, because food is medicine, right? But, I don't know. RFK Jr.'s kind of been on the down low for most of this administration so far. You don't really hear about him too much. You made that apple sound so good, I just went up and got my own apple. Hell yeah, dude. I sold out to Big Apple. What's up, Alyssa? Okay. Anyways. We're almost done with the second story, but not really. But I'm recharged. I'm recovered. I'm ready to say some more stupid shit. The trail cam I found tied a branch. Okay, that was not good. Not a great start. Your boyfriend is burning pretty psychotic. To be honest, Mexicans are crazy, but I understand some Spanish, so I can confirm Bad Bunny was all about the love, no hate at halftime. Oh, he didn't say anything about blowing up the whole stadium and killing everyone. I thought I was watching on Telemundo, and the captions, it was arguable. The trail cam I found tied to a branch looked to be just that. A creative way of providing security for the guy's new cabin, and I figured that because they looked to be almost brand new. And I say they because there were more than... What the fuck am I reading? And I figured that because they looked to be almost brand new. And I say they because there were more than one. There were 5 in total, all brand new and all surrounding the cabin at what looked to be fairly even spacing, and as you can imagine, was very happy to see that they'd been recording. If there were the night vision. If they were the night vision kind, and by 2015 most were, then they'd. I fucking hate going from one word to a fucking conjunction, function, schmunction. Ate a whole bunch of Chipotle bowl and a crumble brownie and I feel heavier than uranium. That's good, that's good. That's how you know you're gonna have a great shit tomorrow. If they were the night vision kind, and by 2015 most were, then they'd have captured our arsonists in the act. I was hoping we'd have enough footage of the arsonists that they could be positively identified, and all I needed to do was contract AIDS. Just found out about you while looking for some horror stories. They're still working. I'll be listening to the rest of your videos. Keep amazing work. Hey, thank you. Good to see you. We are currently making more videos in the video lab. Did you guys see that Bad Bunny got a shout out from Max and Ruby? Who's that? Isn't that like cartoon characters? Or are those, he's just like making up celebrities? Max and Ruby. Max and Ruby, of course. My schizophrenic hallucinations. Just kidding. Alright. That apple took me out, man. All I needed to do was contact the client, inform him of the situation, then get him to share the recordings with the cops. But when 7:30 rolled around and I hit dial on the client's contact, I got nothing but a robotic voice saying, "We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected and is no longer in service." I remember just standing there outside the cabin for a second, wondering why the hell a client would disconnect a phone like that, when I suddenly felt this strange chill come over me. I was hired by a guy with felt like oversized glasses, and then ain't no way I never heard of Max and Ruby. Do I have to hear about everybody though? You know what I mean? Like, do they like? Do you ever? I mean, that's what we talked about this earlier. Don't you think they just like make these people in labs? These are fucking bunny rat. They are cartoon characters. How the fuck am I supposed to hear about little dumb rabbit bunny? What the fuck are you talking about? That's like saying, "Hey, did you hear that? Hey Arnold and the Rugrats shouted out Bad Bunny." What the fuck? Did you hear the people from the characters from Animal Crossing were twerking for Bad Bunny? What the fuck are we talking about, guys? This is like big news. Hey guys, cartoon characters have become sentient and they really want to let you know that Bonito has done a fantastic job. Oh my god, Bonito! I was hired by a guy with what felt like oversized sunglasses, and then someone tried to burn the cabin down with me inside of it. And then when I tried contacting the client, their phone was dead. And what's more, if the guy wanted security, why not hook the cameras up to the cabin itself? I started to suspect that they weren't there to record anyone who approached the cabin, but rather the cabin itself. In which case, did the client really want to protect his new investment, or were those cameras there to simply record the cabin being burned down? Now, the first thing that came to mind was some kind of insurance scam. But then, as I thought about it, I remembered how these arsonists didn't stop trying to burn the place down when they realized I was inside. In fact, one of them actually said hurry up once they realized someone was there. And that's when the creeping feeling started to get way more intense, because it dawned on me that they weren't just trying to burn the cabin down. They wanted to wait until I was inside of it before roasting me alive. And that's why nothing happened on that first night. They probably snuck up to the cabin, saw me sleeping in my truck, and then retreated until the next night when they could try again. But why? And what beef did these dudes have with a client that they wanted to burn his property down, and why would they want me inside when they set the place on fire? Those are the kind of questions I've struggled with over the years, wondering to what extent my client was in league with the men who tried to burn me alive. I can't help but think that they were connected somehow. I mean, why would he make such an effort to obscure his face, pay me in cash, and then disconnect the phone he'd used to contact me? I also can't help but wonder, why me? Was I picked out specifically, or did they just need any poor bastard in there when it burned down? And when it comes to whether I was specifically chosen, I think the answer is yes. I think about the guy in the oversized glasses and the way he gripped my hand after I tried to pull it out of the shake. And I told the cops about him and passed on a description of the man in his car, as well as the cell number that he'd used to contact me. And this might come as a surprise. Bonito! Oh my god, it's Bonito! We hope you have an amazing Super Bowl halftime show! It's me and Mario too. It's Mario Brothers, and we're gonna be at the halftime show up in the booth with Jerry Jones, and we're gonna fucking make the Cowboys great again. It's gonna be so cool. It's gonna be me and the ducks from DuckTales and fucking Courage the Cowardly Dog. We're all gonna be cheering on our favorite reggaeton artist. This might not come as a surprise, but they had no luck in finding him, and since that was expected, it didn't bother me too much. But what does bother me is that the guy that acted after we shook But what does bother me is the way that guy acted after we shook hands. I know now that he was sizing me up in some way. I don't know why. What the fuck am I doing? I don't know by what criteria, but I know that when he invited me into the diner for some coffee, he decided that I was the right man for the job. But the question is, at least the one that I struggle with, most these days, did he pick me to fix up his cabin, or did he pick me out to die in it? God damn it. My voice is getting worse. You guys forced me to do that Ray and Ruby voice, and it just screwed me. I stumbled upon ungoverned land in Colorado on accident. It was absolutely terrifying. They blatantly threatened us and were super aggressive. Ungoverned land in Colorado? Where was it? It's called Boulder. Been listening to this channel since at least COVID times. It's so funny having these lives going on. Hey, thanks Kermite. Good to see you. I'm gonna need you to make another glass of whatever you poured yourself and give it to me. I'm gonna need to get in my level. Dude, it's just apples and honey, baby. It's probably the Benito honey. Or what is it? Manuka honey. That's what they should have had perform at the halftime show, is just a big jar of Manuka honey just sitting there dripping under the heat of the lamps. I would have been going nuts, bro. Oh, they were at NORAD? The ungoverned land was at NORAD? Dude, no joke, I was driving behind somebody who had, and this is 2 days ago or 1 day ago, but they had a license plate that said NORAD. I thought that was weird. I was like, what the fuck? Dick Cheney, is that you? But the question is, at least the one I struggle with the most these days, did he pick me to fix his cabin up? Did he pick me to fix up his... Why the fuck is this? But the question is, at least the one that I struggle with the most these days, did he pick me to fix up his cabin, or did he pick me out to die in it? HAL 9000. I'm sorry, Jim. We can't allow you to continue reading your scary stories. They stink. They smell. They are a big fart. Passion of the Christ 5 is amazing. His shotgun revenge is absolutely egregious. Hell yeah, dude. Every Easter, when Jesus rises from the grave to get revenge on the Romans. Okay, guys, we got one more story. Cabin in the woods. These cabins, they are in the woods. The great pumpkin of Jesus Christ. Oh, I have my protein drink. Let's fucking go, dude. I'm gonna turn this milk into muscle. You just watch. Did you guys hear that? Did you hear how easy it was for me to open up the lid? Oh yeah, baby. That's good. Oh yeah, that's great. Can we watch Beetle Boop? What's his name? Beetle Boop? Who's Beetle Boop? Fucking dripping on the ground. Okay. All done. Sometimes I wait for my waiter to come around in a restaurant to let him know that I finished all my food, hoping that she'll be proud of me. Norma Joe, thank you for the 10. Love your reading. Thank you. You're welcome. Love you too, Norma. Thank you so much. Oh, the scary video, guys. Yeah, Bizarre Bub. Probably not tonight. I got so much shit to do tomorrow, including the editing, so I kind of need to hit right to the either edit or hit the sack. But, okay. That's my one piece of advice for anyone who wants to narrate better. Drink a whole thing of milk before you start. It'll really prime the lips, the palate. This is the story of what might be the single worst thing to ever happen in my life, and kind of ironically, it started with a vacation. Because back in the fall of 1987, my girlfriend of 2 years suggested a weekend in a log cabin. Kate, not her real name, had fallen in love with the idea of living this remote, rustic lifestyle after reading some historical romance novel. But while she knew that she wouldn't last more than a week out there chopping firewood and gutting deer carcasses, we both thought that it'd be very romantic and pretty cool to spend a few days playing pretend. We found a place out in Vermont that had all the peace and seclusion that we were looking for, but one that also had a kitchen, a feather bed, and a bathroom with hot running water. Now it set us back a few $100, but after we drove out to that... Alright. We gotta change the font again to something cool, such as Arial. What if I'm lactose intolerant? Well, then I guess the toilet will be waiting for one more poop. Oh, wait, I did something dumb. Does anyone want to hear? Because I also need some advice. Let's hear it. Let's see what you got. You probably didn't even finish your workbenches in Arc Raiders. It set us back a few $100, but after we drove out on the Friday afternoon for a check-in and collected the keys from a man in the nearby town of Bartlett. Bartlett. Bartlett, okay. The town of Fartlett, right. I knew Justin was going to say that. I knew he was going to say it. He's freaking immature. Probably the most immature guy in the chat. What the fuck are you guys talking about up in here? This... Oh, mods change from a wrench to a shield because they are protectors. Protectors of the guard. It's a great honor. They are the Knights of the Round, perpetually on lines. Hey Chris, good to see you. I know now that he was sizing me up. Oh wait, I already read this. Fuck. Okay, where the hell am I? Bartlett. Oh yeah, Fartlett. Here we are. It set us back a few $100, but after we drove out on the Friday afternoon for check-in and collected the keys from a man in the nearby town of Bartlett, we discovered it was worth every penny. This place was beautiful. All the appliances were spotless and working okay, but the wood-burning stove was worth the price of admission alone because not only did it keep us nice and toasty, but it gave the whole place this kind of rustic and cozy feel. That first night was fantastic, everything we could have hoped for, and then the next day, we took a walk into town to get some food before hiking back to the cabin and settling for the evening to get some well-deserved rest. We both changed into our evening wear and were sharing the big 3-seater couch. The big 3-seater? Eternal Levi's Vision. What's up, dude? How you doing? What's new? So my friend lives downtown and I was over at her apartment. We decided to go grocery shopping to get snacks. We both needed a couple of groceries. But before we left, we decided to take an Eddie. Joel, after all these years doing this, do you have any stories that stand out to you and remember specifically for one reason or another, or do they all just blend together? I think. They do kind of blend into a big old milkshake of spookalicious. But, really any of the ones that, like I've said before, just people... no, I'm just kidding. The Bigfoot ones are the best. Yeah, the ghost and Bigfoot ones are my favorite. Those are my favorite ones ever. So we walked to our grocery store, and there's a lot of people, and we just took our sweet time, and one thing was lettuce. So I go over to get lettuce, and the first thing I see is the lettuce monster. We both changed into our evening wear, and we're sharing the big 3-seater couch, each reading the books that we brought with us, when, out of nowhere, we heard someone's voice coming from outside. Now, seconds later, there was a heavy knocking on the front door of the cabin. Kate told me not to answer it because who the heck would be out there so late at night in the middle of nowhere, too? And then came another round of banging on the door before someone called out, "Please, I'm hurt. I need help." Kate and I both looked at each other, and then I remember blurting out something like, "We don't have a phone here. We can't call anyone." I guess it was the practical thing to say while keeping Kate sweet and not opening the door. But then we both heard the same panic-stricken voice tell us, and with a dash of fear too, that they were hurt real bad and that they were scared that they were going to die. I looked at Kate and said we needed to do something, and she agreed, so we rushed to the door and opened it. We were greeted by the sight of a man in hiking gear. Big coat, boots, woolen hat with dark eyes and a mustache. But what really caught my attention was all the blood that seemed to be seeping from the hole of his jacket, while he kept one hand clamped over it at all times. He stumbled into the cabin and then collapsed near the... I love that us Latinos are infiltrating pretty much everything, including spooky stories. Have you ever seen a goth Latina? My God, what a mashup. He stumbled into the cabin and then collapsed near the couch, panting and thanking us before begging us to lock the door again. He said he'd been stabbed and that he'd run a long way to get away from the people who did it, but he was still scared that they'd catch up to him somehow. My first thought was to drive the guy into town and to the nearest ER, so I grabbed my keys and ran for my car. My plan was to move closer to the cabin so the guy wouldn't have to stumble very far to flop into the back Fuck. Used to be a goth Latina. I knew it. I knew it! I knew it! We gotta bring it back. Bring it around town. My plan was to move it closer to the cabin so the guy wouldn't have to stumble very far to flop into the back seat. But when I put my key in the ignition and turned it, silence. The engine wouldn't start. I tried over and over, yelling and screaming, and then rushed around to the front to pop the hood. I looked around, and the moment I saw some cut wires, I ran back into the cabin to tell Kate what needed to be done. First off, I was going to have to run into town, and if I went full jog. Oh man, I'm fucking tired. Am I tired? I'm not even really tired. Lock in! Okay, I'm locking in. Locking the fleck in. Locking in, sir! Don't you worry! Reporting for duty, sir! Your top reader! Fuck. I fucking can't. Fuck! I'm gonna flip my desk. First off, I was gonna have to run into town, and if I went full jog the whole way, that'd take another 20 to 25 minutes. And while I was away, she needed to grab a knife, lock all the doors and windows, and then turn the lights off and stay very quiet. I figured if someone came by and found the place was empty, they might move on and not try to look inside. But they did, and they pushed past all the furniture I told Kate to push in front of the door. Wait, what? What is this saying? What is even happening in this fucking story? Have I done a morning stream? I don't think so. Technically, this is morning, right? I figured if someone came by and figured the place was empty... What is happening? First off, I was going to have to run it... Okay, I tried over and over, yelling and screaming... Why is this guy... My plan was to move it in close... Move... My first thought was to drive the guy in town... Okay, let's take him to the ER. Okay, we realized that. First off, I was going to have to run into town. I figured if someone came by the place... and figured the place was empty, they might move on and try not to look inside, but they did. Oh, the people who were in pursuit. I feel like I'm like mixing up the previous stories, thinking a group of burned, inbred, pigeon-speaking folk are gonna come and steal his girl. Steal Princess Peach. They're gonna steal Princess's Peach. I figured if someone came by and found the place was empty, I got mush mouth to the fullest extent. I figured if someone came by and found the place was empty, they might move on and not try to look inside. But they did, and they pushed past all the furniture I told Kate to push in front of the door she needed to run to. What the fuck is it? Wait, but they did. Why is this? What is happening? Is it like zooming to the future? Is this zooming to the future all of a sudden? The tense is like really strange, but they... Oh, but if they did. Okay, sorry. One word throws me off. That's all it took. That one word would have caused the Cuban Missile Crisis, really. I figured if someone came by and found the place was empty, they might move on and not try to look inside. But if they did, and they pushed past all the furniture I told Kate to push in front of the door to blockade, she needed to run. I didn't say that in front of that guy. I said it quietly before I left, because as much as the Christian thing to do was to help this dude and save his life, I didn't want her to die from some total stranger. It was a crazy thing to have to tell her, but it was a crazy situation we were in, I guess. And then after giving her a kiss, I started running back to the dirt road and kept going like that for 3.5 miles before I finally arrived in that town I mentioned earlier, Bartlett. Now, there wasn't an ER there, but I found a guy named Andrew with a working car who said he'd call 911 from his place before driving me back to the cabin so we could make sure that Kate and that stranger were okay. We rushed into his house, and I remember barely being able to get any words out from having run so hard and for so long. But we got there in the end, and then we jumped into his car, and he sped off with him following the same You done with your story? There is no lettuce. I did not buy 6 heads of lettuce. I bought 0 lettuce instead of 6 heads of cabbage. I have 6 giant heads of cabbage in my fridge. You were so high you accidentally bought cabbage instead of lettuce. That's hilarious. I genuinely would love to watch you play Arc Raiders and just see what would you even do. Tell me what you even do in that game. I still don't believe you that you've even played it. Tell me exactly what your objective is in that game when you go in. You're in crisis, you need your advice. Yeah, my advice is that cabbage is probably going to kill you in your sleep, so you can't sleep. That cabbage is sentient. I don't know how high you are right now, but the higher you are, which will be forever, is the more dangerous the cabbage gets, which will be cannibalistic soon. Soon, you need to do something with that cabbage. Throw it out your window. Pick all of them up and toss them. Bowl them down your driveway like bowling. Like the game of bowling. Okay. But we got there in the end. And then we jumped into his car and he sped off with him following the same directions I'd just given him. I think I must have thanked him 100 times between running into him in the street and getting him back to the cabin, But then when we pulled up outside and saw the lights were still off, I was relieved. I pictured Kate and the stranger sitting quietly in the dark, not knowing who was sitting behind the wheel of the car approaching them. But then, all it'd take was one quick yell of, "It's me," and they'd just be as relieved as I was when Andrew said he'd help me. I got out of his car and walked towards the cabin's front door. I yelled out to identify myself and then got ready to push past the barricade that Kate had blocked off the door with. But as I got close, I saw that the door was slightly ajar. I called out again, but no one responded, and that's when I started to panic. Kate hadn't pushed anything in front of the door, and when I walked into the room with the couch, where Crystal, exchange rim jobs for free pizza. What a queen. What are you talking about? This is one of my mods. Talking to people about rim jobs. The hell is a rim job? Do I need an application for that? Did telling him I played Arc Raiders has irked him because, like usual, that was not my goal. Yeah, but you're diverting. You're diverting right now. Tell me what you do in that game. Tell me. Because I don't even know. I literally don't know the purpose of it. I need to know so I can know what I'm supposed to do when I go topside. Kate hadn't pushed anything in front of the door, and when I walked into the room with the couch where I'd last seen her and the wounded stranger, it was empty. Now, I ran around like a headless chicken looking for them, but when I found Kate alone in the bedroom, there was no relief that time, because she'd been stripped, severely beaten, and was laying unconscious on the floor next to the bed. I didn't even take all that much comfort in the fact an ambulance was on its way to us, and that whatever injuries she'd received, they'd soon be treated. All that was in my head were all those questions. Like, when did they find her? Why did she run like we... I'm thinking it's the stranger that did this, bro. He faked his injuries, and this is a pretty heavy story here. So I'm gonna go watch Monday's 3-hour video for the first time. I'm gonna cut to the random time stamps and a new video every night. I keep falling asleep. Thanks for helping me achieve my goal. You're welcome, doll. It's kind of crazy, like Monday's video. Usually the compilations, like, they do okay, but they haven't been doing great lately, but Monday's video was a 1 out of 10, which was kind of crazy. Which pretty much means I've been chosen by Israel to be the god of YouTube. Did you guys know that? 10 million subscribers were promised to me long ago, at a time foretold. The hum from the Let's Read data center keeps me awake. Yeah, every one of my videos takes up an entire fucking, like, city block of data. I'm asking you what you did in Arc Raiders. Yes, I'm asking, what the heck did you do? Because I think you're telling a fib. You're fibbing to me about Arc Raiders just so you think, just to make me feel bad that I suck at the game. Katie McFadden, what is up? How's the gym going? Ugh, all of Antarctica is filled with the Akashic records of Let's Read videos. I'm not even allowed to delete them off of YouTube. They're kept in the ether. Do I buy collector's editions for games? You know, the last time I bought, like, a lot of stuff for a game was Animal Well. I bought a bunch of shit off of that just to support, like, Donkey and his stuff, because those games were great. You're a phony. A big fat phony. I hid in bushes and I did a lot of the side roll thing because I literally got so good at side rolling. Okay. Alright, I've heard enough. Put her in jail, please. Forever. All that was in my head were all these questions. Like, when did they find her? Why didn't she run like we'd agreed? And what the hell happened to the wounded stranger? It took another 24 hours to get any answers because Kate was barely conscious when we got her to the hospital, and she had to rest up a bunch before anyone could even talk to her. But when she finally did talk, it was devastating. She and the stranger hadn't been found by the people looking for him. She'd been attacked by the man himself. Kate said that not long after I ran off, she grabbed some dishcloths from the kitchen and tried to open up the guy's jacket to put pressure on the wound and keep him from bleeding to death. And that's when he dropped the act. He hit her, jumped up. Yikes. God's chosen YouTuber. It's written in Revelations. There will be things that the people will all gather around to watch, to stare at, moving images, stuff you could never even contemplate, streaks of lightning, and everyone will be eating food or falling asleep as they peer upon it. They'll call it YouTube. Joe, I decided I'm going to buy a tattoo gun from Amazon. Will you kindly donate your skin for a few job stoppers? Yeah, we can give it a whirl. What you should do is do your forehead. Your first tattoo ever should be a forehead tattoo to yourself. I just feel like that's like literally the only way I know I can trust a tattoo artist is if they got one right in the middle of the forehead. Hey, Telex Salad, how we doing? Joe, you playing anything right now in your free time, like something PS4, PS5? I mean, I guess I've been jumping around to a lot of games. Like this weekend I got to, like during the Super Bowl, my buddy's son, he's like 10, and he didn't give a shit about football at all. So he just, which is understandable. I did not care about football when I was his age. He just played Astrobot on my PS5, and we'd watched him for a little bit. But anyways, I'll play Arc Raiders. I've been with my one friend. I've been playing what the fuck? I forgot the name. No Rest for the Wicked. It's kind of like a Diablo. It's like a Diablo game mixed with Dark Souls, or maybe like Fable a little bit. It's like a top-down isometric like action RPG. It's actually very good. If you turn down the difficulty, you guys should give it a whirl. A forehead tattoo that says "Let's Read" and wingdings. Holy shit. Yeah, I got Tommy Pickles tattooed on my chest. But he's like wearing like FUBU clothes. What else do I got? Hearthstone Battlegrounds, miserable game. Anything from Blizzard is just hell on earth. They used to be good. Do we play Arc Raiders? Gotta lock you out of the little vault thing. Lock you out of the little vault hut thing. Oh, okay, so at least you know that. Yeah, the extraction. You better not. Got the DuckTales logo on my tits. That's my lower back tattoo. Just get just a mishmash of nonsense. I remember one time my roommate had posted, he would post videos online and stuff, and he had posted, because all of his tattoos are really funny. Like, they're all just they have nothing to do with each other. It's almost just like shit that you might get at like a tattoo shop, right? And he just gets them. And some, you know what I mean? Like, at one point he wanted to start like this rap thing called, what the fuck was it? It was called like Punk Pig or some stupid shit, right? And like punk, and I just remember someone left one of the funniest comments on his video saying something like, well, it's pretty clear from the tattoos that you don't have any impulse control. I don't know why, just telling someone that based on their tattoos that they have no impulse control is just probably one of the greatest things they could have said to him, because it's very true. He eats a lot of pizza. Joe, I think it's time that we tell everyone about our relationship. I'm tired of hiding it. Uh-oh. Ruh-roh. Tell them about the baby. Would you play on stream with viewers? I don't know if I could play on stream with viewers. I mean, first off, the gaming streams don't do as well as normal videos, right? But then on top of that, it's like, I feel like it might get kind of like, I mean, it could be fun, but I feel like I don't know what a viewer might do, you know what I mean? Like, they might go buck wild, say something Pradeep might say. Ed and Eddie tattoo, full back, Macy's style photo shoot would go dumb hard. That would be sick. So you're gonna re-animal for Joel Tynes Day? Yes. Saturday, I should do a little post about it. What time should I start? Want me to hell dive with you? Helldivers is fun. Like, I had a really funny moment where it was, we were playing on level 10. Level 10, dude, it was nuts. Level 10, Cyberstein or Cyberstan, you know, or whatever. And we completed the thing where you have to go inside their wall, their fortress, and destroy structures or whatever. And then I got like called in, but then I had to get to the ship, right? And it was so funny. I'm just like running through all of them, like, excuse me, pardon me, excuse me, pardon me, pardon me, excuse me, pardon me, and like diving underneath like robots' legs. And there must have been at least like 30 fucking robots like swarming the extraction. And I made it out. And it was the best feeling ever. Hey, see ya, May. Take care. Yeah, I'm carrying the baby like a male seahorse. This thing will be shit out by tomorrow. He hit her, jumped up, then kept on hitting and kicking her until she was too weak to fight back. The guy hadn't been stabbed. He wasn't hurt in any way, shape, or form. The whole thing was an act, a complete put-on that he'd hoisted on us after disabling my car, stabbing a hole in his jacket, and then using a little fake blood for the finishing touches. Now the rest he achieved by sheer force of personality and by the fear that I thought that I saw in his eyes, which I guess looking back on it was more like excitement at the prospect of what he was about to do. They did end up catching the guy, and he ended up getting life because it wasn't the first time he'd violated a woman after tricking his way into her home. But Kate has never fully recovered. She might have since found some kind of peace, and I hope she has. We haven't spoken in a long time now, but I sincerely hope that she has. But sadly, in what remained of our relationship, she was Helldivers or Warhammer 40k of Space Marine. I've been debating on playing one or the other, but they seem similar. I would say Helldivers just because it's like it's one of those games that like visually just like blows your fucking mind, you know, if you have a good system, or even if it's running on PS5 or whatever, which is good, obviously. It's just like the graphics are just so sick, and like and it's really fun if you're playing with friends or even random people online. It's just like a funny game, like having a bomb go off beside you and getting like ragdolled across, you know, half the map is just hilarious, you know. And there's some moments, especially in like some of the, like it's just amazing because like every you're like, say, you know, you got to look at a star map, right? And then the star map has like little planets that you got to go to, and then the planets are in like a state of you know, they rotate like a normal planet, so it's like there's areas where the sun is going up, areas where the sun is going down, areas where it's dark, areas where it's, you know, light out. And it's just so amazing to me, like depending on where you move your ship to reposition yourself, everything changes, obviously, depending on that day-night cycle or weather cycles or whatever's going on. And it just all looks amazing. It plays amazing. It's basically like a mix of Halo and fucking Warhammer 40k and, you know, just all of those crazy IPs mixed together, just like absolutely perfectly. And it's like a Left 4 Dead style game, so it's like you don't have to worry about any PvP bullshit. It's just you and your friends or whoever just fucking having a good time. A map to the stars. I played way more worse games. AC Shadows. Yeah, it's funny. My dad plays video games, and he played He plays all the Assassin's Creed games. He really enjoys them, but Assassin's Creed Shadows, he said, was kind of dog shit. Because he's like, and the one thing that pissed him off was the fact that it forces you to do, instead of just doing kills, you have to do like silent takedowns or non-violent takedowns, and it kind of forces you to do it, which is kind of dumb. Joel, no joke, societal seriousness. You really are the best. You enrich my life, dog. Thank you. You're welcome, Justin. You can now have Fry as a present. But sadly, in what remained of our relationship, she was unable to find it. She said I reminded her of what happened and how since that wasn't my fault and there wasn't anything I could do about it, she knew we had no future together. It broke my heart, but I respected her wishes and we slowly drifted apart over the years that followed. Kate, if somehow you're listening, I know you'll recognize this story, and I'm sorry if you hate the fake name I picked for you, but I hope and pray that you're doing better. Helldivers is honestly the funniest, most badass games I ever played. There's like a weird aliveness to it. Yeah, exactly. Like, I didn't even realize it. I was an idiot. I like had my game, I think I told this last time, but like my game dimensions of my screen, my resolution, I didn't have it at the right resolution. So like once I upped it to the 31 whatever I had, the weird resolution, it just looks so much better. And the graphics just look so fucking sick. The lighting is amazing. Especially if you get those moments where you're kind of like running across like a sunset desert of sorts and you just see like one of your friends like mortars. You see the mortar shoot up in the distance, the audio with it, right? Kind of like muffled from afar, but then it like goes up in the air and you just see like the missile just like land on some bug or robot off in the further distance. You're just like, damn, dude, this looks so amazing. And in many ways, I kind of want them to like ruin it with PvP because the engine itself is just, the game itself is just so good. It's just too good that, you feel like it is absolute cinema, and it makes me feel like it needs at least some PvP somewhere, but I totally understand if they don't because, who wants to complicate things anymore? Oh, shit. All right, guys. Chat, I have a PS5, but a more powerful PC. Is there any benefit to getting Helldivers on PS5? I know it's a Sony-published game, so I think it runs better on PC from what I heard, and I think you'll probably, if you enjoy games on PC anyways, it's probably best to just do it on PC. I don't really know if any benefit on the PS5 to be TBH. Alright, guys, I think that was the last story. So let's read our outro here and get you guys to your next class. I do have to order another PC. Can I tell you guys about a PC that might be ordering? Can you tell me if it's like too overkill? Because this is the first PC I would have bought in like a long ass time, and it is kind of my job to be a gamer. So, okay. I don't think you need a new PC. I think you're fibbing. I'm not fibbing. I'm telling the God's honest truth. Okay, so we got a Corsair Vengeance A5100 series gaming PC built with a full range of award-winning Corsair components. This is a pre-built. It's a pre-built one. Powered by the NVIDIA Blackwell architecture and the DLSS4 2500X RGB dual-chamber case with a stunning wraparound glass aesthetic, boosted CPU performance with IQ Link Titan RX 36mm liquid CPU cooler, a 9X IQ Link RX 120 RGB. Oh, this is kind of stupid. Where's the actual? What the fuck? Oh, AMD Ryzen 9 9900X3D, GeForce RTX 5090, 64 gigabytes DDR5, 4 terabytes M.2 SD Windows 11 Pro. I feel like, do you need more? You need more like space overall. Is 4 terabytes like enough? Why don't you build your own PC? I could, honestly. It's just like I don't have anybody on hand. Like I don't know how to put it together. Like I'm not like I've assisted with stuff, but I genuinely don't know how to do it because I'm a noob. Could completely be a write-off, especially if you consider occasional game stream. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is, I don't know, freaking write-offs, man. That's so OD, but hell yeah. Future-proof plus seems like the NVIDIA distanced itself from consumer market. Oh. Oh, yeah. Oh. Wait, so the GeForce RTX 5090 isn't... That's not NVIDIA? Huh. Is NVIDIA really distancing itself from the consumer market completely, all just because of the RAM shortage? RAM is way more important than memory. Yeah, what's my RAM? Do I even know? Did I even say what it was? Joel, I have 16 terabytes. You're not going overkill. It'll be underkill within a year or two. Yeah, right. Yeah, with how big games are getting and all that kind of stuff. I mean, like, and you know, obviously you can move memory around, but sometimes you much prefer just not to even have to think about it. Curious. Wait, GeForce RTX is NVIDIA, right? So it's only the AMD Ryzen 9, which is, I think, is the processor, right? I just joined to fucking love your stories, man. Much respect, mad love. Hey, thank you, Bored All Night. Kana, good to see you, bro. Thank you so much. Storage space is allegedly going to become harder to come by commodity. Yeah, it's going to be so expensive, which is so stupid. They don't want people to build computers? Like, what the fuck? Why not? 32 gigabytes of video RAM, everything is CUDA cores, get the 5090. Okay. Alright, I think I'll do it. I'm going to pull the trig. My boy lets you help me sleep like every night, big dog. Appreciate you. Thank you, Dolo. Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Guys, we're going to read this outro here. And it's going to be so cool. Somebody think of something funny to say at the end, please. Hey friends, thanks for listening. Click that notification bell to be alerted of all future narrations. I release new videos every Monday and Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and there are super fun live streams on Sundays and Wednesday nights. If you got a story, be sure to submit them over at my email, letsreadsubmissions@gmail.com, and maybe even hear your story featured on the next video. And if you want to support me even more, grab early access to all future narrations and bonus content over on Patreon, or click that big join button to hear about the extra perks for members of the channel. And check out the Let's Read podcast, where you can hear all of these stories and big compilations located anywhere you listen to podcasts. I also have a true crime channel called Saturn Soul, all links in the description below. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, what are we remembering? Oh, that'd be good. PvE plus friendly fire. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, PvE plus friendly fire equals PvP. Oh, hey, Finksy, you are late. That's okay. I just realized I have to, for this true crime video, I have to... Oh, shit. Did I open this? Yeah, let me go to Saturn Soul real quick and I have to record the little tidbit. It's so annoying. Dude, it's so fucking annoying when YouTube age restricts a fucking video. Because basically it just means that it's not getting pushed out to literally anybody anymore. Because it was like doing really well, and then now it's just like fucked. Someone called him DJ Vance. Okay. In the mid-1990s, a series of homemade videotapes surfaced after the death of a young man who documented his obsession and isolation. Alone in a dim room, he spoke to the cameras as if it were a confidant, recording rituals, delusions, and a growing sense of destiny. The tapes end abruptly, leaving behind an unsettling portrait of fixation unchecked. Unsettling portrait of fixation unchecked, and a reminder that some horrors are built quietly, frame by frame, long before anyone notices. That's a really long one, but whatever the fuck. In the mid-1990s, a series of homemade videotapes resurfaced after the death of a young man who documented... What is this saying? In the mid-1990s, a series of homemade videotapes surfaced after the death of a young man who documented his... Surfaced after the death of a young man who died... Okay, Jesus. In the mid-1990s... That didn't even sound right. In the mid-1990s, a series of homemade videotapes surfaced after the death of a young man who documented his obsession in isolation. Alone in a dim room, he spoke to the camera as if it were a confidant, recording rituals, delusions, and a growing sense of destiny. The tapes end abruptly, leaving behind an unsettling portrait of fixation unchecked, and a reminder that some horrors are built quietly, frame by frame, long before anyone notices. Listen to the full story over on my true crime channel, Saturn Soul, linked down below. Good morning, Joe. Just joining. Hope it's not time to end the stream. Yeah, sadly, we are just finished all the stories I was recording there. There is a new Saturn Soul video if you want to check that out on my true crime channel, but it's pinned at the top. But we gotta bounce, guys. I've been going for about 4 hours, and thank you guys so much for hanging out. It's always a great time. But yeah, I'm thinking this Saturday when Reanimal comes out, I'll make a community post about it, I believe, or at least post on my Instagram at letsread.official. Make sure you hit the notification bells over here, and I will go live probably playing Reanimal, which is from the creators of Little Nightmares 1 and 2. Alright, friends. So it should be fun. But yeah, I'll keep you posted. And yeah, let's talk soon. Okay? Alright. Sleep tight. Don't let the bread bugs bite. See you later. Stinky.